We're live. What's up, everybody? JS and Tom and Jackie McGuigan. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I recognize you. I know you've been some OGs on the channel. So, what's up, everybody? How's it going? Um, Let me get situated here with my stuff. I got lots I can talk about. Nothing bad, but there's a lot going on, I guess. And so I won't have any problem randomly coming up with stuff. Come on. I won't have any, as long as I can get this damn app to work that I'm trying. Here we go. Nope. No. All right. I'm just sick of buggy software. As much as I really haven't tried in a long time to get a job back in the software industry. And even though I made bank doing it, I can honestly say I hated every minute of my professional life working for software companies. It's especially when your job is to be what's called a user experience designer. So you're not only designing what things look like in a piece of software, but you're designing the overall experience. And that's everything from how speedy it is, how intuitive it is, how easy it is to if you have a multi-step task like signing up for a service, is it easy or is it hard? And most companies, JS, it was great before H-1B. Yeah, we can talk about that all day. But in general, these companies don't give a shit about making software good, but then they hire me when my job is to literally take customer feedback and meet with customers one-on-one, focus groups, user testing, all kinds of different things. That's a aspect of my job, and advocate for the customer to the leadership of these companies to say, hey, your software is a piece of shit. Your customers hate it. They're going to leave if you don't fix it. Here's what we propose to do to fix it, only to have them turn around and say, yeah, that's great, but we're just a bunch of cheapskates, and people, as long as people are willing to pay for a bug-riddled piece of shit, we're just going to let them we're just going to do that. How's that sound? Case in point, I worked for a payment processing company, and their software was fucking garbage. It was total garbage in every sense of the word. And so I would do demos and I would say, look at Square, look at Stripe, look at all these modern payment gateways that any business can can create an account with today. And they can ditch you guys, and they are going to ditch you guys because you're shoving this antiquated 20-year-old piece of dog shit down their face that sucks. It's terrible. The only reason you have customers is because you're undercutting the rate at which when you accept credit card payments as a business, a percentage of each sale goes to a payment processor. And then that percentage that goes to the payment processor gets cut up 30 different ways from Sunday and split out amongst a lot of different people. So typically it's 3%. So for every dollar, or for every, every $10 that you, it's 3%, my bad. So for every $10 that for every dollar that someone spends, 3 cents goes to the credit card processor. So somebody buys something from you for $10, you get $9.70. The payment processor gets 30 cents, etc. So they could undercut payment processors, and people who do high volume will save hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars over the course of a year just by undercutting the competition by 1 percentage point. So, but their software was crap. And they literally would tell me in meetings, this is the CEO, the president, the vice president, who was my direct boss, and then me, telling me that, well, all of our competition in the same space is crap and everybody else is putting out garbage, so we don't feel the need to invest in something nice. These companies like Square and Stripe and all that, they're for small businesses and it's not our target audience. And I'm like, yeah, but give it a couple of years. But in hindsight, they were just looking to they were only willing to put the bare minimum amount into their company as an investment that it would take to get a bigger company to buy them. And that's what happened. A company bought them out, and then the company scrapped their software because their software fucking sucked. They only bought the company for their portfolio of customers. So they got gobbled up by a bigger company. Software gets thrown in the trash, and all of those customers who just got acquired were being migrated onto to other platforms that this company managed. And long story short, companies don't care. JS was saying it was great before H1B. I'm not kidding when I say I worked for a big bank. They have 3 big towers in downtown Pittsburgh. I don't have to give it away. You can easily find out who it was. They have out of 3 of the towers in downtown Pittsburgh that they own, all within a couple blocks of each other. One used to be the corporate headquarters. Then they grew to where they needed another building. Then both buildings became the corporate headquarters. Then they grew and they needed another building. So the dumpiest of the 3 buildings was Little India. I'm not kidding. They fired pretty much every American programmer in the entire company and hired thousands of people from India to fill that building. And I used to call it Little India. It was a dump. It smelled like curry all day long. And it was just culturally, the only reason I would go and work in that building, because I had freedom to work from home. I could work in the fancy building and I could work in, Curry Towers. And I used to go to work at Curry Tower because I could wear jeans and a button-up short-sleeve shirt and just be casual and comfortable all day. Where if I went to work at the corporate, the flashy main building, I'd basically have to wear a suit or something really nice. Like I'd have to press my clothing to go work there and spend all that time getting ready to basically go sit in front of a desk in front of a computer all day, sitting in Zoom meetings. And so I'm like, if I'm going to go downtown and do that, I may as well go to the Curry Towers and wear jeans while I do it, because it's more laid back. But other than that, I didn't really care to be in the building. And I sat there and watched. And not now on my team, I had an Indian programmer and I had 2 American programmers. The guy from India was the best guy. He was heads and shoulders above the rest. So I'll be perfectly honest. I know a bunch of Indian programmers that are really awesome and good at what they do. And they're not all garbage. The ones that are really good at what they do, they climb up the ladder and they get out of that H1B situation and become citizens, or at least have the freedom to bounce around and manage their own careers. And I had a couple of American programmers that hated their life, hated being there, were miserable. Every time we'd have a team meeting, they would be the 2 grumpiest people in the room. Their work was lackluster. You'd have to push and push and push to get them to do anything. The Indian guy on my team, he was like a rock star. Everybody loved him. He was on point. You'd ask him to do something, it would be done before you ask, so this isn't a racial thing. I don't care. Hire the best people as far as I care. But the H1B scam is when these companies hire low talent from another, they get rid of all the American people on their team and they either outsource to another country directly or they bring them here on an H1B visa and fill up their buildings with them. And you end up with substandard code by and large, because the rock stars that I've mentioned are far and few. I know I can name 3 good people from India who are rock star programmers. top of notch. I would trust them with my life when it comes to that stuff. But by and large, fuck, this one guy we hired at this one company I worked at, he kept asking me questions, and they were dumb questions. Like, for as good of a programmer as you're supposed to be, your questions, like, you should be asking me questions that I don't know the answer to, because I'm not a programmer. I'm a designer who can write some code. You got hired because you're supposed to be an expert programmer. Therefore, you should be better than me. But you start asking me basic bitch questions that I can answer. Then I go over to your desk, and this guy on his computer screen, I'm pull it up. I'll share my screen here in a second. There we go. Boom, 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 boom. So this guy, as a programmer, here we go. I go over to his desk, and I'm looking at his Visual Studio screen, and the dude's rocking Comic Sans as his code writing font. Comic book font. Right here. You're looking right at it. Comic Sans. I'll zoom in on it. That is Comic Sans. It's literally a fucking comic book font. And that was what his code reader was set up to use as to write code with. And I'm like, holy fuck. I was completely dumbfounded by this one, because if you're writing code, you should be using a font in your code editor that makes it easier to see the code that you're writing. And there are specific fonts meant for that. Comic Sans is not one of them. It makes you look like I would never use Comic Sans to freaking write code. I wouldn't even be able to see what the hell I'm doing if that was my font. And so I just like sat back, and I'm like, let me go get someone else to help you. And I walked over to another group of programmers, and we just had a little powwow. And everybody knew that this guy wasn't pulling his weight. He had only been there for about 3 weeks or so, but he really hadn't done anything yet. And even I had to have my hand held on a lot of projects, but I was getting stuff done. But like I said, I'm a designer, not a programmer, and they wanted me to write a lot of code. So I would have to partner up with some programmers, with some more seasoned people. And once they got me started, a little hello world here and there, or get my feet wet with something, I could take off with it. But this guy, I just said to a group of programmers, I'm like, you need to go look at this guy's screen. Just ask him to pull up some code so you can see what he's working on. Just make up something, whatever. You just need to see what happens when he opens up Visual Studio in front of you. Go check it out. I said, I'm not even going to tell you, but you're gonna laugh. You're gonna be coming back to our area over here with smirking, and you're gonna have to go out in the hallway and laugh, because you're gonna be laughing so hard that you don't want everybody else to know why you're laughing and make a big scene about it. So one by one, all the programmers would go over to his desk and just ask him, hey, can you pull up this code for this and that? And they all come back with their hand over their mouth and their cheeks blown out like they're about to just burst out laughing. And so now we all meet out in the hall, and I'm like, yeah, what do you think? Comic Sans? Should I switch to Comic Sans for my code view? You think that'll help me be more productive? And we all got a good laugh out of it. The dude was gone in like 3 days. But that's the kind of quality, by and large, that these companies are getting when they hire people from India. And because they're not doing it to get the best of the best, they're doing it to get the cheapest of the cheap. They're, an American who could make $100,000 at a programming job, they can hire someone to come in from India for like 30 grand. Then they can replace that one American with 3 crappy Indians and fill 3 seats for the same price. And they're doing it. And then this person who comes from India is getting fucked because they're an indentured servant. Once you have that H-1B visa that a company sponsored and paid for you to come over here and work for them, You don't have the freedom to just, I don't like working for you, I'm going to go work for this other company. It doesn't work like that. For me, for an American, yeah. You don't like your job? Go find another one. Start working there, quit this job, go start the next one. But when you come on an H-1B visa, that visa is tied to your company that you're working for. So you can't just send out some resumes and get a new job. And it's not impossible to change jobs, but you have to find another company that's willing to do all the legal paperwork and all the bullshit and all the visa and government fees and everything else that's involved with that. So you are basically an indentured servant. And a lot of these companies that are bringing home or bringing over tens of thousands of people from overseas to do the code writing, they're like setting them up in company villages and company sponsored housing and setting it all up just like the company store situation at the coal mines back in West Virginia back in the day. And now you see that in the tech industry, believe me, I see this. I got at least 15 of them today that I had to delete. Every recruiter in the tech industry now is some Indian from some Indian tech sweatshop, and they're just blasting out mass emails every time they get a job lead to probably 10,000 people. Because I got a job lead today for an on-site job in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm like, bitch, I live in Houston, Texas. Are you in India? Do you even know the distance between Houston, Texas and fucking Milwaukee, Wisconsin, for crying out loud? Like, seriously, why are you sending me this shit? You think I'm just going to pack up and move to Milwaukee to get some crappy temp job? Get out of here. So I'm this close to just logging into my LinkedIn account and saying, Indian recruiters, leave me the fuck alone, and then watching my LinkedIn account get deleted and kicked off the platform. But I'm close. I'm close because I just don't care anymore. I've reached the point where I know I can't get a job in my field again because of the felony unless I can find a startup that's willing to look the other way and hire me based on the merits of what I can do and not based on the results of a background check. But the competition is so crazy right now that anytime I do apply for a job, I'm up against 6,000 other candidates. And my resume is being read by an AI bot. My cover letter is being read by an AI bot. And now they're having AI bots do job interviews. I'm telling you, if I get a fucking call to do an AI interview again with a chat bot, get the fuck up. Get out. I'm done. I'm not doing it. I'll just tell them to go fuck off. Because I don't got time for this retarded ass shit. If you're not going to treat me like a human being at this point, we're not going to get along. And I wasn't in that bad of a mood when I jumped onto the call today for the live stream. But this topic does get under my skin. Buggy software and why, like I said, it was my job to try and make the software a good experience. And I was up against a brick wall my entire career doing it against people that don't want to have a nice product to give their customers because they're just happy giving their customers the garbage that the customer is willing to pay for and nothing more. And so, no, I don't care if I ever get a job doing that again because it sucked. It totally sucked. I made good money, and the good money a year of doing that would solve all my financial problems and I could quit. But it's just looking like, I think the Lord just wants me to do something different because he's not giving me any possibility of doing it. Every time I've been hired a couple times since I've been here in Houston, only to get to the point where they're like, oh, we need to run a background check, and then never mind. But the job was in my hand. The contract was in my hand. I had a start date and everything. And the company was actually mad. Each company was mad that I couldn't start because of the background check results. And they were kind of like, acting to me like I wasted their time. And I'm like, well, fuck you. You could have asked me questions in the beginning of the process. Like I'm supposed to disclose this without being asked. Like I'm not. I'm not. No better way to kill your opportunity to get a job than by dropping something like that right off the bat. That's like going on a date, and on the very first date, when all you're doing is sitting and having a coffee, you haven't even gone out to dinner yet, and you look at the girl and say, "Oh, by the way, I've got AIDS. You cool with that?" You're not going to make it to the fucking restaurant. She's going to be looking at her watch going, I just remembered I got to go home because I've got a doctor's appointment. It's 8:00 at night. Yeah, I know, but I got to get home. We can't do this. So, yeah, forget it. I'm not going to volunteer that information until they make me do it. And if I wasted their time, good for them. Hopefully they hired someone who sucks when they could have had a rock star. That's the way I look at it. But anyway, I have had some experience today with buggy crap software. It just kind of fits right into what I was going to talk about this. So I got this new cell phone, and it's probably been 2 months. I know it's been about 2 months, closing in on it. And I still have the old phone active. Why? Because I have not been able to change my phone number on every software platform and bank account and everything that I have to log into. And once again, it's the sign of a crappy ass software. A good piece of software, I can log in, I can go to my account settings, I can say, here's my phone number, hit the button next to it that says change, type in the new phone number, save. Maybe it sends a code to my new phone. Maybe it has to send a code to my old phone and my new phone to verify that everything verify this. Either way, the whole process from logging in, changing my phone number, and logging out should take about a minute, maybe 2 minutes tops. There are some apps that are taking weeks to change my phone number because they don't give you any easy way to do it. T-Mobile. I have T-Mobile for my home internet, but I don't have a T-Mobile phone. There's absolutely no place in the account settings to change the phone number where the login code gets sent to log into my account. So when my old phone is shut off, I will not be able to log into the T-Mobile website anymore because there's no possible way to enter my new phone number for the code to get sent, the 6-digit code that they send you in a text message. So now I have to reach out to their social media. X, when you need customer support now, you can't call the company. You have to go on X and bitch at them and get a person from America to respond to you. And it's like, I'm going to be dicking around with T-Mobile for another week to change my phone number, where my text message code gets sent when I try to log into the website. That should be a 30-second process. I've had to change my physical address with them twice. Both times took 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months to change an address. That should be log in, change my address, save. Congratulations, you have changed your address. You might get some warning email to your email account saying, hey, you might want to look at this. Somebody changed your address on your account. If that was you, you can ignore this message. You know the drill. Sometimes, if it's a sensitive enough account, they might send you a piece of mail with a code on it in the mail. And then you have to take that piece of mail and type in the code that you got to verify that that is an actual good address for you and that you're not just making something up. But that's rare. But with T-Mobile, 2 to 3 months to change your address on your account if you need to change your address. You can change it, and then when you log back into your account, it just keeps showing you the old address. I had to get on X and complain for 3 months straight. I had a bitch message. I would just copy and paste to this email thread. And I would just do it over and over and over and over and over and over again for 2 to 3 months until somebody finally fixed it. And I'm going to have to do the same thing with the phone number. And it's this long, convoluted thing. But in order to be it, that's one account that I need to log into. So my friend, he's been kind of, he understands. He's not mad. But he keeps asking me, he's like, hey, can I shut off that old phone? Can I shut it off yet? And I'm like, almost there. And so I just keep updating him with what's going on with it. And part of it was I wasn't, for the first few weeks, I wasn't being proactive. But now that I'm being more and more proactive about it, I'm running into these problems. And it's just another sign of bad user experience. What kind of fucking idiotic dipshit group of programmers, the likes of a company the size of T-Mobile, T-Mobile has billions of dollars to invest in their infrastructure, yet the website where you go to manage your account, you can't even change the phone number or your address, your mailing address. Yet I can log into one bank's website, 30 seconds, boom, 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 done. The other bank, they're getting better. The bank that I have here in Texas, I had to go into the branch office twice, the 2 times I moved, to change my mailing address because they wouldn't let me do it on the website. So I was dreading that process, and I wanted to wait until after I bought my car and got all the other stuff done. I had a bunch of stuff that I needed to get finished money-wise, and I couldn't screw around with that bank account and end up getting locked out of it somehow. So I'm like, I'll wait until I got the car and all the stuff done, and now I can, if I somehow get locked out or whatever, I have to go into the branch office to do this, it's not going to be a big disruption for me. So I waited until that was there. This time I logged into the bank account, and all of a sudden they magically have a form where I can change my mailing address and my phone number, and it was bing, bing, done. So they must have gotten enough complaints about having to go into the branch office just to change a mailing address. Like, people never move. Like, I'm the first person in the history of this bank that ever changed an address and moved from one house to another. I'm the first person that ever changed their phone number and they don't know what to do. Oh my God, he changed his phone number. What do we do? What? Come on. So that was my experience of this week, because I'm trying to clean up all the loose ends. The last thing I want is to tell my friend to shut off the old phone and then all of a sudden be locked out of some account forever because I don't have the phone number and I can't log back into it. Because some accounts will do that. There are certain things that I can't log into to this day that I was locked out of when I went to the clink, when I went to the feds, because I lost my phone number. And to this day, because I don't have that phone number, I can't get back into that account because they can't send me the code. So whoever has that phone number now, every now and then they just get a random code for some shit. Hey, you're trying to log into, here's your code to log into this, that, or the other thing. And they're probably just looking at that going, what the hell did I got to get a new phone number, because I'm getting bill collector calls and calls from the feds and codes to accounts sent to me all the time. I can't even, whoever has my old phone number is probably having a field day with that. That thing's probably been passed around to 10 different people by now who don't want to deal with all the crap that comes up on that phone when they get that number. It may have been discontinued by now because so many people have decided they don't want it. Maybe I should call my old phone number and see who answers. But regardless, it's the nice thing about my new phone number is, to this day, I've had it for 2 months. I have not got one spam text, one phone call, one phone call from anybody, no phone calls or texts at all, ever, that weren't something that I initiated or somebody I know sending me a text or a phone call. Not one single thing. So they must have given me a phone number that's reserved for like celebrities or some shit, or like Leonardo DiCaprio needs a new phone number because, you know, his old phone number got leaked to the public and his phone's blowing up and he can't even carry it around anymore. And so they must have given me one of those special phone numbers that only elites get, because I don't get any spam, no bill collectors, no spam, nothing at all. It makes me want to get a different like virtual phone number to use to sign up for stuff so that I can keep my new phone number clean. I can almost turn on the ringer. I have do not disturb turned on because that's just how I roll. But I could turn off do not disturb and I would never be disturbed. And that's never happened to me in my life. I've never had a phone number where I could do that until now. And I don't know how long it'll last, because I mean, you sign up for enough things and enough people got their hands on your phone number. It's only a matter of time before it's game over and your phone's getting blown up with, you need to make sure you need to check to see if your auto warranty is expired. You know, there's this crap like that's going to come my way any day, especially now that I've got a car. It took 8 days after I got my car registration done. It was a week and a day later that I got a letter in the mail saying your auto warranty is about to expire. And it was just some scam for an extended warranty for my car. And I'm like, really? The warranty, the factory warranty for my 2012 Volkswagen Passat with 150,000 miles on it may have expired by now? You think? You think it might be over? I thought they had a lifetime warranty on those things. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but bad software puts me in a bad mood. So I'm not going to talk about it anymore. The good side of life, car has been treating me pretty good. There's little things that I want to do and fix, whatever, you know, things that bother me, I guess. But I paid $3,800 for a car. It's like, what am I expecting to have? You know, am I expecting it to be fresh off the showroom floor with no problems? And in fact, how horrible these new cars are that they're rolling out, I feel like I have less problems with my $3,800 car than a brand new car off the showroom floor would be giving me right now. So there's that. I just today, I've been pulling stuff together. I don't like driving my car around town without the ability to even change a flat tire or to patch it or anything. And I've had some stuff sitting around that I've been acquiring one way or another, Facebook Marketplace, Amazon, Vine, other things like that, just a kit, a roadside emergency kit. And so I can share with you guys how I'm building that out. But I actually put it in the car today and bungee corded it to there's a couple of tie downs in the back. So I strapped some bungee cords around it and it's all, boom, it's there. It's secure. It's not going to go flying around if I have to slam on the brakes. And I'll just talk about what's in my roadside emergency kit. And it's going to evolve, and there's going to be more stuff in it as soon as tonight or tomorrow. Because if you look behind me back here, you'll see I got a little workbench going on, a little mini bike shop going on. And speaking of bad user experience, man, that workbench was cheap. It was on Amazon. It's pretty solid. It's got 2 drawers, pegboard, and it's completely helping me organize my tools and give me a nice workspace to wrench on my bicycles and whatever else I might need to do. I picked up a workshop stool there that you see, Facebook Marketplace, $40. almost brand spanking new. So I got that crossed off my list. But assembling that stupid thing, that workbench, woo, man, that workbench, I thought I was in for like an hour or two to assemble it. That thing took 12 fucking hours out of my life to put that thing together. Not just to put that thing together, but to actually. I started at noon and I wasn't even finished with the assembly until like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. But at some point, I had to take a break from it, and I drove over to Home Depot and got some the pegboard hooks and some other doodads to help me organize things, and to just kind of give it another, give it the polishing touches or whatever. But that thing, I will never disassemble that. Whenever I move, that thing stays assembled. I'm never going to take that thing apart again and try to put it back together. Woo! It was just, lots of little bolts and nuts and places where you can't get a wrench, and you have to, like, things where you have to put a screwdriver in to turn a screw, but you can't get the screwdriver in there. It's basically like working under a car. You got a bolt there. All you got to do is unscrew that bolt, but you got to take half the car apart to get to the bolt. That kind of stuff was the same as assembling that thing there. Ooh, that was a rough one, but it's done, and I'm happy to have it, and it's helping me get a little bit more organized. And I will take you guys on a tour of the updated house when I'm done, but I'll probably need like 2 more weeks to get that done, because I picked up a couple other I'm working on mostly the projects that I'm working on are finding creative ways to store things and to open up space, because I live in a tiny space. So the key to living in a tiny space is having lots of creative storage ideas and just being able to organize things to where it's tucked away, but when you need something, you can get to it quick. And my goal with this is, I know I'm going to move maybe in 6 months or whenever the lease is up, maybe a few months after that, but my goal is to move on to a better place. And when I do move on to a better place, I just want to grab and go. I don't even want to have to pack. I want to basically live to where everything is packed. And all I got to do is carry the boxes somewhere else. And I don't got to worry about, I may have to unscrew some things from the wall with an electric, one of those power drills back there. Zip, 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 done. But at least having a vehicle, the next time I move, I can probably space it out over a week or two and not have to do it all at once and just pack and go. Like the last time when I moved, I started at 9:30 in the morning and we were gone at 11 a.m. because I had to get back before that slumlord got back from his job, because I wanted to undercut him I did not want him to know I was moving until I was gone. I left the keys on the counter. I'm like, see ya, bitch. I'm out. Good luck. So that was great pulling that dash, but I had to be fast. But I didn't have a lot of stuff to move either. So, and I've got a few extra things now, but I could probably do it in one trip with a U-Haul box truck or 2 trips with a U-Haul cargo van. I'm still not at the point where I'm not going to be stressing when it's time to move. I've just got a bed and a couple of big things like this thing here. The video's reverse. It's not a mirror image. So whenever I want to point here, I can't point. I'm like the guy on the weatherman, his first day on the job, trying to point at the map and he can't figure out where his hand's pointing and all. That's what I am right now. So let's see. Still working on trying to make the home comfortable. Like I said, I'll show it all to you. But the car, I got the roadside toolkit mostly done. I'm just waiting for one of the shipments to come in. So I'll go into here. I'm just going to pull up a few. I'm going to pull up a few links to some things. At least one thing to get it started. With this Amazon Vine stuff, I got a lot of stuff here being, okay, I got that, and then this. All right, I'll start with that. I'll share my screen. So the first thing I'm doing for the car roadside kit, I talked about this before. What the hell is that? Okay, so I got this. I used to own this before I was arrested, and it was hard to find because they have at Lowe's, they sell similar toolkits to this, but they're not as nice. This thing was great for the price. I paid less than that. The prices on Amazon change for this one all the time. Right now it's 139. Last week it was 220. The week before that it was 130. It goes back and forth on a weekly basis. I just bookmarked it and watched it because it's an older toolkit that they don't sell at the stores anymore. And so I had this thing, and I used to carry this in my Jeep or my pickup truck or whatever I was driving. And it basically has every size ratchet and then some that you would ever need when you're out on a trip. You got your basic, you got your metric and standard Allen wrenches. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14 box wrenches, metric and standard sizes. You've got long ratchets, short ratchets. You've got all 3 ratchet handle sizes, extenders. You got some U joints. And then you got a little bit of a hex wrench, like a screwdriver, hex bit driver with a bunch of different random hex bits and a huge assortment of ratchets. So that is going to be in the trunk of my car when it arrives. It's supposed to be here on Saturday. So between now and then. But the car is like 10 feet from the house or less. I park right next to the place, and the front door, it's like 3 steps to the trunk. So if I need anything out of here, I just have to walk out to the car and grab it. So it'll be convenient, but I will keep this in the car. And I like this because this case keeps everything together. It makes it extremely obvious if you're missing a piece. So it makes it very easy to keep everything together, organized. And the only thing you have to watch out for with this is you always have to open it up with the Craftsman logo on the handle face up. Because if you open it the other way, all of those sockets that you see around the edge will come falling out and go all over the place. But all the stuff in the top of the lid there stays locked in. Everything stays locked in except for those sockets all around the edge. And believe me, there was more than one time that I opened the thing up and I'm like, son of a bitch, because they went everywhere. And then I'd spend 20 minutes trying to figure out how to put them all back together and put them all in their right place. But the new ones don't even have the metal buckles on the case. This one has these nice metal buckles that snap shut all the way around. They've replaced that with plastic ones that are just going to break. So I waited. I did some homework and found the exact one that I used to have, and I just waited until it was the right price. So that's on the way. Angel's asking, are you on the silver Amazon review thing where you can pick up 3 things a day? Yeah. It's like, it's kind of funny because every time I'll pick out 3 stupid things, and then all of a sudden something really good shows up and I missed out. That happened to me twice this week. I blew my wad way too early in the day, and then all of a sudden some really awesome thing shows up, and I'm like, oh, missed it, because I already got my 3 things. No big deal. That's what's going to happen. But the sad thing is, if you take and you, like, say in the morning, I'll look and I'll be like, oh, I could use that for my bike or something like that, and then I'll save one hoping that one of those unicorns will show up. They never do. The unicorn never shows up until I don't have anything to feed the unicorn. As soon as I run out of unicorn food, boom, they're all over the place and they show up. Yeah, I would like to get, I'm going to try and do it. I mean, I'm not keeping up with the number of reviews that I'm supposed to do, but I have a system around it, so it's not hard for me to get caught back up. I can do like 20 at a time. So I'm trying to get the gold status. I just want to see what they'll give me if I do. But there's like like I said, 2 or 3 things in the last couple of weeks that were badass grabs that I missed out on because I didn't have any more things to spend. One time I had one that I didn't use and let it sit for the whole day. And then at night, I kind of was like, well, if I don't use it, if I don't spend it, I'll lose it. So I bought something small. And then 5 minutes later, something really awesome showed up. And I'm like, you motherfuckers. So that's how it works, though. So you can't get all. I'd leave detailed reviews. Angel says they expect detailed reviews. I think that's why I got invited to it in the first place, because I review a lot of stuff over the years and I leave pretty detailed reviews. And so I think it just randomly showed up in my mailbox one day and I didn't even read it for a while. I thought it was just some dumb spam. I didn't even look into it. It was like that YouTube thing that came my way. I almost missed out on getting my YouTube bonus because I thought they were just sending me spam. They don't care about how fast it is with the reviews. I have until February to get all the reviews done for the stuff that I'm doing right now. So, the review, it doesn't take long to do them either. It takes longer for them to approve the reviews. But if I submit a bunch of them, they'll all get approved within like 3 days. So what I do is when the stuff comes, I take a photo of the box, then I take a photo of everything out of the box, and then I might take a couple other photos as I'm using it or putting it together or whatever. And then I'll just save the photos. And then when I decide, okay, I'm going to review a bunch of stuff, I'll do it all at once. And so I just grab the photos and drop them in and type up a quick review. I could even use AI to write the reviews, to be honest. No, you're supposed to be able to leave negative reviews. I've given a few 1-star reviews for some Chinese junk, or because the thing that they were advertising is not the thing that it was. Like there was a couple of false advertising things that I called them out on in the review. No, you're supposed to be completely unbiased with the review. That's part of the deal when the seller signs up to be part of that program and offer things to give away in exchange for reviews. Amazon tells them, the review doesn't have to be a good review. It might be a terrible review. So I've given a couple 5 stars, lots of middle of the roads, and a few 1 stars because, but I've got some pretty cool stuff off of this thing. Stuff that's helping me around I won't order anything that I don't want or won't use. I won't order just garbage. But I can always seem to find something that's on my list of things that I'm trying to accomplish, or something that will help me with my bicycling or whatever. I needed an extra bike light. I found a really, really awesome one. In fact, it's sitting right here. This thing's a freaking beast here. This thing is bright. This thing is super. This might be the brightest bike light I have. This one might be brighter than the one on my helmet. And it weighs a bit too. That thing weighs like a pound. It's freaking badass. It might be the brightest bike light I have. And I've got some lights that are so bright that cars get mad at me and bright blast me. And then I'll turn around and bright blast them because I wasn't even using the brightest setting on my light. But when you're riding around Houston, this place is crazy. And these drivers are absolutely nuts. And you need it. You need to be seen when you're riding at night. So, but let's see. So there's that. So the rest of the stuff in my car kit, I'm going to pull up my notes here. So I'll just talk about what am I carrying in my car, my roadside toolkit. All right. So I got this thing. This was an Amazon Vine grab. I have an air compressor from Ryobi sitting on my tool bench back there. But it takes a battery. I like having it in the house. But I bought this thing, or I got this thing from Amazon Vine. It has a cigarette lighter port, a hose, and a bunch of other attachments. And so I keep this in my spare tire kit. I can plug it into the cigarette lighter port on the car, but I also have another way to power it on top of that for whatever reason. If the car battery doesn't work or whatever, I have another way to do that. So I got the tire inflator. I have one of these for it. So I have this all in a Husky. This was my bicycle tool bag, but basically I have a basic Husky 18-inch contractor bag. This was where my bicycle tools were, but I'm not using it for that anymore. And so I'm using this as my car kit, my emergency roadside car kit for now. Now, the ratchets that I just showed you, they have their own case, but everything else is going in this bag. So everything I'm showing you is fitting in this bag. So I had one of these already from before I was arrested. This is one of the things that I used to have, keep it in vehicles. Power inverter. Plug it into your cigarette lighter port on your car, and it gives you 2 standard wall outlets in return, and you can power AC devices off of your car battery. You can use it, and it has a couple of USB ports, so you can use this to charge phones. You can run a laptop off of it. There's a million different ways to use this thing. It's just handy to have one of these in your toolkit. And I have a smaller one in one of the, not in the trunk, but in the center console that lifts up. I have a compact power inverter that's much smaller, and it doesn't have as many watts, so that I'm using it as a makeshift phone charger for now, because I don't have a phone charger with a car outlet adapter. So I'm using a power inverter to do it, and it works just fine. I'm not driving enough where it really matters. The second I go on a long trip, I'll take care of that. So I already had this. Pull this up. This isn't the exact one that I used to have, but I have one of these basic OBD. I get the Old Dirty Bastard and the ODB or the OBD. I get them confused all the time. So the ODB, the Old BD, the Old Bastard Dirty, the Old Dirty Bastard, the OB, whatever. I got this thing from Walmart a long time ago. Anytime you get a check engine light in my 2008 Jeep Wrangler, my 2003 Mini Cooper, there was a few other vehicles I've used this thing on. Anytime you get a check engine light, boom, this thing will tell you what it is. Doesn't take any batteries. You just plug it into the car. All it's going to do is tell you the code. Some of the expensive ones do more, tell you more information. This thing will just straight up tell you the code. But then you've got Google. You can type in the code into Google and it tells you exactly what it is. So it's not hard. 22 bucks. That thing was like 25 bucks at Walmart. That thing came in handy so many times. Plus, you can clear the codes. So there were times I'd be on a long trip. I'd get a check engine light on my Jeep. I'd be like, what the hell's going on? I'd look at it and I'd be like, well, that's not a big deal. Put my mind at ease, clear the code, and watch that the code doesn't come back for the next 6 months, and it was just a glitch. And if it wasn't for having this thing in my glove box, I'd be driving around for the next 3 weeks going, what the hell is this check engine light for? Being all paranoid and whatnot. And when it popped up, I'm like, oh, it's an oxygen sensor. No big deal. I'll take care of it when it's time. And then the code never came back for 6 months or more. So it was just a glitch. I know why it happened on that particular drive that I'm thinking of, but it's a cheap thing to have in your glove box or your toolkit that can give you peace of mind, and it'll tell you what's going on before you go to the mechanic, so that you're not being taken for a ride. If you already know what the codes are on your car, you can get yourself a good idea of what it's going to cost to fix before you even take it in. Um, but for the Volkswagen, I had to bump it up a notch. Now I got one of these, but I did it on Facebook Marketplace, and it was brand spanking new, but I didn't pay 118 for it. I paid about half of that. And so this one is just more advanced, and it works for Audi, Volkswagen, Skodas, European, German cars, and it does more. It, uh, it can dig into all the different systems that are in your car. I have an airbag light, so I'm trying to figure out what I haven't. I'm not trying anything. I haven't even plugged it in yet. I've been just driving around, not giving a crap about it. I got this thing for $70. It's 118. They have a cheaper one, but I'm telling you, you go to Facebook Marketplace for just about anything you're looking for. If you live in a big city, or Craigslist, you can generally find what you're looking for half off or more. I want to get a bicycle rack for my car. I went to the bicycle shop. They had one for $210. Amazon has the same one for $200. I found 3 people on Facebook Marketplace selling them for $50. $50. I haven't gone to get it yet, but there's 3 people. One of them's a mile away from me. So when I want to do that, all I have to do is go on Facebook and be like, "Hey, you want to sell that bike rack today?" Go over, give them $50. I got myself a $200 bike rack. That, especially when you buy from people in the suburbs, the shit's going to be brand new, because these people, they buy stuff that stays in the garage. They might have taken it out for like once or twice, taken the family out for a bike ride, and then it sits in their garage for a year or two, and they're like, "I'm just going to sell it." And then I come along and snatch that up. So the Angel says, does it work for Jeeps? I don't know. I'm sure it will work in some cases, like the check engine light. I could probably plug this into other cars and read the check engine light. Yeah, and that's the thing, Angel. Like, now that I've got a car that I wanted to do, but I had no way to do it on my bicycle, my only option was order something on Amazon and have it delivered full price. But now I can go to a thrift store, I can go to Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, discount store, pawn shop, whatever. I got options now, so I can do everything I'm looking to do for pennies on the dollar. So there's that. Motor oil. I've got a quart now. The guy who sold me the code reader gave me a quart of motor oil for that car, just a quart. But look, that's $47. No, that's not the right one. But I mean, the motor oil, the synthetic shit, that's $50 for a quart of oil. So I got that. He threw that in. Now I don't know if that's what it would cost at AutoZone. I would assume not. Oh, 6 quarts. That's why. I got a quart of this in my tool bag because the guy I bought the code reader from, he said, "Oh, here, I don't need this anymore. I got rid of my Volkswagen. So if you want this, it'll work for your car." So I got, it's never hurts to have a quart of oil in your toolkit, because if you see that you're running a little low, you can fix that real quick. And you don't have to go to AutoZone or go to the gas station or whatever. And you know that you're going to have the right stuff for your car right there. It's meant to be a roadside thing. You notice something, I can fix something. And then if there's a more serious problem going on than that, at least I can get to the garage. So I got that. I got a little tape measure. So as I am sorting out tools to put in my, just something like this, maybe a little better than these, but a 6-foot tape measure. I have multiple tape measures. So if I find that I've got like too many pair of pliers, or I've got different tools that I have extras of, instead of cramming them into my drawers on my workbench there, I'll just take some extra tools and put them in the roadside toolkit bag. So some pliers, and so my toolkit bag is going to evolve. Threw a couple of bungee cords in there. I don't even know if, basically bungee cords like this. I threw a couple of these in there. And then I had two bungee cords like this that had carabiners on the ends instead of hooks. And I used both of those to secure my tool bag in the trunk, because the trunk of this car is so big that you can throw two dead bodies in the back, and you wouldn't even have to fold the back seats down. So it's a good, if you're in the mob, a car like that will work out for you in a lot of different ways that most people don't need. But I was able to secure my tool bag in the back of the trunk. So now if I have to slam on my brakes or something because of some douchebag on our Houston roads, I can rest assured that my tool bag's not going to go flying to the front of the trunk and smack into the back seats. It's nice and secure. So bungee cords, you never know, you're going to need, it's always, I must have a gazillion tape measures, screwdrivers, etc. I don't have the tools I used to have. I used to have a whole workshop full of tools, bicycle shop mostly, but lots of extra. I had extra wrench sets and extra everything. So to put a car kit together was nothing. The only reason I bought that Craftsman ratchet set was because it's a nice organized toolkit that has just about everything that you would need. It doesn't have pliers, it doesn't have vice grips and things like that. But like I said, eventually I may even need an extra bag or a bigger tool bag for the back based on some of the stuff I'm putting in it and will be putting in. So it's going to evolve. I just got it to the point right now where I can fix a flat tire on the side of the road and do some other things. And so I feel a little bit better. I have two of these. Reason why I have two of them is because I used to have two vehicles, and I have one in each vehicle. So it's a little power supply, but it also has jump cable. So it's got USB outlets. It's even got a built-in flashlight. It has, I think it's, I can't remember how, 2000 amp. Yeah, so it can charge my cell phone 4 times from 0 to 100% before it would die. Or it could jump start a car or whatever. And I have two of these things. I can take those two things on a camping trip, use one to power speakers, keep my phone charged and all that kind of stuff, and have the other one in the trunk in case the car doesn't start and I need a jump start. So if I have two vehicles, someday I'll put one in each vehicle and have a toolkit in each car. But for now, I'm keeping them both in the car because it doesn't make any sense to keep them anywhere else. One is none, two is one, they say. So it's a really convenient thing. They work great. Let's see, metal clamps. Oh, okay, those are those. And then in the bag, there's a little pouch that this thing comes in. I've thrown in extra USB cables, coiled up and Velcro strapped, so that I always have extra USB-C, USB-A, micro USB, and all the different connectors and stuff. So I can pretty much charge anything anywhere I am. Just go out in the trunk, grab the power block, plug it in. You can charge a phone. You can pretty much charge a speaker, anything you want. And then you can recharge the thing in the car as you drive. So if I'm at a camping trip or whatever, and I burn one of these out, I can just plug it in the car while I'm driving and charge it back up. I wouldn't even have to wait until I get home. So I have two of those. One's red, one's yellow. And then I got this. One thing I noticed when I bought the car is I did not have a scissor jack. It was missing from the trunk. So I bought this thing. So I've got the scissor jack, and it's got the nice thing is the scissor, instead of that stupid crank thing that they give you, it's got a ratcheting wrench and a 17 millimeter hex wrench on the end of the scissor jack. So if they give you a 17 millimeter ratchet to lift the car up and down with, and that works pretty good. I tested it out. But my lug bolts are also 17 millimeters. So the lug wrench itself with the 17 millimeter socket, in a pinch, if this ratchet wrench broke, I could use the lug wrench to lift the car up and down. It would be a little bit more work. I mean, it wouldn't be fun to do, but it's not the best kit out there, but it's not too bad. It can handle 4 different size lug nuts and lug bolts. And then in the kit with it, they gave, they put these rubber dot grip gloves in there so you don't get your hands dirty. I have an extra set of those I threw in the bag. The Volkswagen had the lug wrench that came with the car kit. I don't have jack. This is for the side of the road. If I was going to do work on my car at home where I have to lift it up and get under the car at home, then yeah, I would put jack stands under it. But if you're just changing a flat tire, just make sure that your wheels are chalked so that your car won't roll, and make sure that you're on a solid, make sure you're on a solid place where, you're not going to drop the car on the brake disc. If the jack slips out. I've never had a problem with that. I did come really close once to dropping a Jeep Cherokee on the bare road because the Jeep started to roll and the jack slipped a little bit, but we were able to shove the wheel on the lug bolts or onto the bolts. We were able to just put the wheel on, and then we put some more rocks and shit behind the wheels, and I was able to lower the vehicle down, readjust the jack, and then jack it back up. No harm, no foul. It all worked out for us, but you just got to be careful. But I'm not getting under a vehicle with just one of these holding it up. No, that's just for changing a flat tire on the side of the road, because that's going to be the most common thing that you're ever going to come across. Needing a jump start because your battery's dead, or you got a flat tire. Those are the two things it's like riding a bicycle. You're going to get a flat tire. Probably not a lot of other things that'll go wrong when you're on a bicycle ride, but a flat tire, if you're not ready for that, you're screwed. You could be, I've gotten flat tires already 30 miles from my house. What am I going to do? Walk home? That's like a 2-day walk. In bicycle shoes. That'd be miserable. I'd probably have to stop and buy sneakers. At which point I could probably buy an inner tube and fix the bike. But so I got that. I had 2 pair of the gloves, and I also put a strap wrench in there just because I had one, not because I feel like I'm going to be doing oil changes on the side of the road. But I got a set of these on Amazon Vine. And so I'm like, well, why not? There's a big one and a small one. I took the big strap wrench, put it in the kit, took the small strap wrench, put it in my kitchen drawer, because if you ever have a jar that you can't open that gets stuck, there's 2 ways to get it unstuck. Bang on it with the back of a knife all the way around the edge if it's a metal lid, and that will typically loosen it up enough to get it off. Or you take a strap wrench and just get it off. It'll come right off. So I have a strap wrench in my kitchen just for that. It came with extra straps. But, I don't expect to be pulling my oil filter off on the side of the road. But I have it. Maybe there might be a day, one of these days, where I'm like, oh, I know exactly what we need, and go get a strap wrench and be the hero. Because who the hell carries a strap wrench around in their trunk? That stuff like that happens. Let's see, LED slap bracelets. So I got this pack of these goofy ass things on Amazon Vine. They're like those slap bracelets from the 80s with LED lights in them. And they're kind of weak, they're kind of dumb. But I took 3 of them, the bright yellow ones, and I bought them for riding my bike at night. And if I ever go on a rave, like they give you a pack of 10 of these things. So I could make myself all lit up at like, I could totally have a perfect costume to go to a rave. If there's a rave in Houston one of these days, I could put 5 on each arm, be the life of the party. But if I'm pulled over on the side of the road and I need some blinking lights just to help me be seen while I'm doing something on the side of the road, there you go. That's a little something something. It's better than not using them. So I do want to put a headlamp in the bag. I have a couple of extra headlamps that I'm not using, and I'm just going to look for my oldest one that's all beat up and old. I've got a black diamond headlight. Let's see if they have one that looks like the one I've got. They don't. Kind of looks like these. It's nicer than that, though. It's an old one. They probably don't have any that look like the one I had, but a headlamp. I've got various headlamps. And the black diamond one that I have is pretty good. It's kind of old, but a headlamp like this, a basic headlamp with batteries and an extra set of batteries, something that's pretty good to have if you're trying to do something on the side of the road, because you'll be able to see what you're doing and you'll have your hands free. So for me, it's just a matter of going through my boxes and finding where I put the extra headlamps and looking for the specific one that I'm looking for to put in the kit. Because I have 2 that I could put in the kit, but one's nicer than the other, and I would rather have the crappier one in the kit. Because it's crappier, but it's still a nice headlamp. Let's see. So I got that. Let's see. Hey, everybody, all the new people that popped in, want to say hey to everybody. So on Amazon Vine, let me just... I found one of these. So my window, one of the first days I owned the car, the window switch for the passenger side wasn't working. And I found that out the first time I drove to work. On Amazon Vine, I was able to get a window switch replacement. So I have it. I haven't put it in yet. It's a 5-minute job to do it, but I figured I'd get the right tools for removing trim pieces on the car. So I picked up this Craftsman set that has basically everything in it that you would need to pull body panels off the door or off the car. I might get new speakers one of these days. Pioneer has some really good prices on replacing the speakers in the door. I always like to put good speakers in the car after I've owned it for a while. So this will make that job a lot easier because, I don't like using a screwdriver to do the stuff that you need the right tool for. So I just put that in my car kit. If you wouldn't need this for a roadside toolkit, but it's a car tool, so I'm just keeping it in the car. I mean, I don't expect to have to, on a road trip, pull a door panel off, but they're there. And then I got I got this. Part of the flat tire kit, you saw that I had the jack and some of the other stuff. I picked this up. Instead of going to Walmart and getting a crappy one, I got a tire plug kit. And so it's got the tire plugs, it's got the T-handle insert, it's got the reamer, Comes with a pair of pliers. So I do have pliers, a couple of valve stems, a valve stem tool, a razor knife. And then I threw some other stuff in that kit because it has a nice pouch that zips up and keeps everything tidy. So I added I added a quick release attachment for that air compressor. So you don't have to screw it on to the tire valve. You can just put it on and flip a switch. That's in there. I got some inflator nozzles for like beach balls and stuff. I added some a Presta valve adapter so I can pump up a bicycle tire with it. Sports ball needles. I got 2 of those in there. And then the lug bolt cover puller for my car. The Volkswagen has these plastic lug bolts. So I got this set. So this was on Amazon Vine. I was able to get a replacement set for the Volkswagen. Actually, the ones I got are better because they're the actual deal. This, I think, is this it? No, the ones I got are actual OEM Volkswagen covers. Let's see if the ones that I actually bought. Anyway, I got the lug nut covers because there were some missing on my car. And on Amazon Vine, I was able to get a complete set, but they're the OEM. They're not aftermarket. They're the real deal lug bolt covers. Just dressing, they look nice, but it has the little tool to pull them off. I was using a bicycle spoke before I got this little tool, and they just pull right off, but it just makes the wheels look better. Left is what they look like. And then, so right now that's in my car tool bag, and I'm going to go and replace all of them on all the wheels, and then the extras I'm just going to throw in my tool bag. If one of them breaks, if it falls off, somebody steals it, whatever, I'll have some extras and I can just throw a new one back on, or an old one back on. So that'll be cool. Just little, no big deal, just a little window dressing. But I also got an extra set of lug bolts from Amazon Vine, a set of 5. So if silver, they're chrome. These, a set of 5 of these for the car. And so they're in my toolkit. So if for some reason a lug bolt got broken or stripped or whatever, I'm on the side of the road changing a tire, I've got 5 extra lug bolts in a bag. I can just throw a new one on and I don't have to worry about it. I don't got to drive around with a missing lug bolt. Honestly, the only reason they're in my toolkit is because I got it on Amazon Vine. And it was free for me. So it was no big deal. Otherwise, it wasn't going to be something that I cared a whole lot about. So that pretty much covers what's in my toolkit right now. But yeah, JS said, do you need some extra fuses? So yeah, that's on my list. I want to get the fuse kit. I want to get a fuse kit, extra plier, vice grips. A channel wrench or an adjustable crescent wrench. Maybe some other things. Headlamp, like I said. And it may get to the point where I just need a bigger tool bag to keep it all in, but it'll all be locked down in my trunk. So that ratchet set and then a tool bag next to it, pretty much have everything that I would possibly need when I'm out on a road trip or whatever. And I'm dealing with something that I don't want to, have to lose time over. I would much rather just put the spare tire donut on and get somewhere than call and wait for AAA to come fix a flat tire. So, just ideas for you all. It's not everything I'm going to put in there, but at least now I'm rolling around. I know if I had a flat tire on one of my drives, I'm not going to enjoy it, but I'll be able to get out of the car and fix it without, you know, having to sit on the side of the road waiting for a AAA truck, which I don't even have a AAA membership yet. That'll be soon. I'll be doing that soon, but I don't know when. It's on my list, but I'm just one thing at a time. So I'm redoing my home. Like I've been talking about, the workbench that you see back there is part of that project. I got a bed. I got curtains in the living room. I'm going to leave these windows here in the kitchen open because I like the light. And when I'm in here, I don't care who can see in. And there's not enough people going. There's no traffic here. There's a few other people that live here that drive back and forth, but that's it. So it's not like you can see it from the road. But at least the bedroom can be dark when I'm watching TV in the day. I got black curtains. The only thing that kind of sucks is because I got a bed frame that was 18 inches off the ground, and the mattress is really thick too. And the reason I got a bed frame so high was so I could put storage boxes under it and have room for the storage boxes and stuff. Like I said, the key to living in a small place is being able to utilize every little inch and square nook and cranny that you have for organized storage. That will keep you from going insane, and it'll make it so that anything that you need access to, you can get to quickly. So that's the crux of what I'm trying to do right now. That's phase 2, the bed, the workbench back there, and some other shelving and stuff that I'm working on, and just storage ideas. I got a bunch of milk crates on Facebook Marketplace for $2 each. I got 12 of them. Yeah, there's storage under the house too. I have a couple of things under there, but I don't like leaving things outside. So I have a couple of things in a tote under the house, but it's nothing big. But I can utilize that for certain things, sure. Let's see. So I got milk crates because they're stackable, and I got them for $2 each. They're dirt cheap, and they're in good shape. They look nice. So I've got milk crates now. I can start putting things in, stackable, very easy to get to. Like if something's in the third milk crate, I can take the top 2 off, get to the third one, put the thing back on. And you can see what's in the milk crates because they're see-through. And I even have milk bottles for my cold brew coffee. Well, they're going to fit just fine because they're made to go in milk crates. So my kitchen's a little bit crowded, and I'm trying to look for things to open up more space in the kitchen because I've got one drawer with silverware and some plastic wrap and stuff. And then I've got this other drawer for everything else. And the everything else drawer is out of control right now. And I don't even have that much stuff to cook with. Like my kitchen is pretty damn weak compared to what it used to be before the arrest. So, I'm working on it. There's just only so much you can do in a day, And I got my car 2 weeks ago. I was realizing that today. It's been just over 2 weeks, and I've accomplished a lot here in the house since I got the car. But I'm kind of getting to the point where I want the house to be done enough that I can do a video and show all you guys and take you on a little tour of like the before and after from the day I moved in to what it's like now. And just kind of do like a recap of here's where I'm at. But I'm working on it. It's taken a lot longer than I want, but it's going to be really, really cool when it's done. I'm pretty impressed with how it's coming along and how I'm taking this tiny little house and actually making it pretty dope. And the way things are going here, when I can take my time when it comes to finding a better place to live. I can find a place that's affordable, big enough for my son to come and stay with me for extended periods of time. And the third thing I can do is, take my time and look for the right place. And I can look anywhere. I could go to Galveston and look. I could go up north to the Sam Houston National Forest. If I could find a place to live, I looked at a house on Facebook Marketplace yesterday that has the National Forest as the backyard. And it's like a flat, double wide size mobile home kind of a house on a couple acres of land. And the guy said owner financing, no banks. That could, you have to feel that out. But that would be about as easy as moving into a rental unit, except you own it after a certain amount of time and it's yours. And you don't have to deal with a bank. You just pay a dude. And, with those, owner finance isn't a bad thing, in my opinion. You can find really good plots of land, big plots of land where people are willing to do that. Because it's kind of like a win-win for everybody. They've got deep pockets and they'll finance. A lot of people that's their business. That's how they make their living, buying up plots of land and then carving them up into smaller plots of land and doing the owner finance thing. Because if you don't make your payments, goodbye, they can kick you off the land and you lose all the money that you put into it, and they can turn around and sell it to somebody else. But if you make your payments on time and you do what you're supposed to do, then you own a piece of land when it's all said and done, and it probably take you 10 years to do it. That's what I was looking at doing when I was in Tennessee. Guy seemed like he was on the up and up as long as you make your payments. I mean, I did some homework on this guy. I wasn't just walking blind into this, but 2 weeks before I was arrested, I could have given this guy like $300 out of my pocket, and I would have had a piece of land to go do whatever I want with, 9 acres. And I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to make any kind of commitment to it until I got home. And when I got home from that trip, he had already sold it to somebody. He had lots of other properties. In fact, he had properties right next to the one I was looking at. But the one I was looking at was a little bit of a unicorn, and I wanted that one. And so I wasn't going to just jump on another property with sight unseen. I was going to have to make another trip down there and look at some of the other ones and see if we could come to a deal. Sometimes he would have properties pop back up because someone would get into their contract and then not make their payments, and he'd have them kicked off the property and put them back up for sale. But there was a few properties I looked at because I did go on a tour of the whole area, and there were some nice houses that people had built on theirs. And so, it was a mix. It wasn't trash. And it wasn't trashy people living on the properties. Hell of a lot easier to buy a piece of land. Here you go. Here's $300. Let's get it rolling. And then, this guy had an excavator and all the stuff. He was going to grade. He was going to make me a custom driveway, however I wanted it to be, and clear out a part of the property that I was going to build a cabin on, whatever I wanted to do. And he would just pad it into the cost of the land. Anyway, that didn't happen. But if I had done that, if I had said, you know what, fuck it, let's do it, and just like threw money down on that property that day, I would have never got arrested because my mind would have been completely focused on Tennessee and my next trip to go down there and getting the culvert and the excavation and the driveway and the different things so that I could go camping on my own land. Because we were just going to go down with first thing we were going to do is get a bunch of camping equipment, just go down and camp for an extended period of time. and then we were just going to get like a basic utility shed to store camping gear in. Nothing too expensive, because somebody could come by and just break into it. But would have had game cameras. I would have had a wireless game camera that I could check remotely from my home in Pittsburgh. I could at least, if somebody went up to the shed, I could at least say, "Got you on video." There are things you can do to help protect your remote property, but especially this day and age. But we would have just slowly made it so that we could easily go camp down there, even if we don't bring anything of our own with us. There would be stuff there, and then just work on it over time. We had a lot of different ideas of how to build this out, and a lot of it we were just planning on doing by hand. But hindsight's always 20/20. So, but anyway, so I'm working on the house. That's going pretty good. The bakery is really slow business-wise. Kind of makes me wonder if they're going to stick it out or maybe fold at some point. I don't know. I have some more in-depth thoughts on the subject, but I can only share those during the members-only live stream, which seems to be happening on Sundays now. We got 5 members in the house now. We had a good time last weekend, so if you haven't signed up for a channel membership, you can do it. You can do it on iOS now as of this week or last week. $2 buku money. You can join the members only live streams. And we also have, last weekend, Blue Sky was a good help. We set up a Discord server so that we can basically have a private online chat network where all the members can come in and we can all talk to each other. I put up a recipe or two. Just kind of messing around with it right now. For the OG gangstas on our channel here, there'll be other things coming with that. YouTube, I got some interesting things to say about YouTube right now. So today, I had to sit in a Zoom meeting with YouTube because of this. So they gave me this. The money hasn't come yet. It might come this month. So the bonus that they gave me for turning on memberships for my channel, that's all. It's either going to drop this month or next. So YouTube said they put me in this boot camp for increasing memberships and boosting revenue on my channel, et cetera, et cetera. And they told me, because there were like 50 people in this Zoom meeting, they say that, Angel said some troll was harassing me in the comments. I deleted my comments. Where was this? Oh, to get on Discord. I'll show you how. I got to look into it myself because there should be a way to do it right from YouTube. But if you make a Discord account and you reach out to me, I can get you in so that you can see everything and get into the chat rooms and stuff. It's not functioning the way I think it needs to right now. I have to manually add you. Okay, I wrote you after the Sundays live. If adam@litgood.com is a good way to reach me. And we can get you set up. I don't think there's much in there. I haven't even looked at it since Sunday to see what anybody else is putting in there, but I can get you hooked up. It's easy to do. I think there's supposed to be a way for you to do it from YouTube. So there's some homework for me. But YouTube put me in this boot camp, like I was saying. So supposedly if I go to this boot camp and I take these YouTube classes and whatnot, I will have a personal representative at YouTube that can help me if I have problems and if there's something going on, I have a human being to reach out to that's dedicated. And they told me and everybody else in this meeting today that they only invite certain people and they hand pick who gets to come to this program. And so I waited a while and I kept my mouth shut. And then it got to be question and answer time. And I'm like, all right, I got a question. How do I get my channel unshadow banned? I'm like, if I've been handpicked to be part of this program and you're giving me a big bonus to turn on channel memberships, why is my channel still shadow banned? And I told them about how, I got 1,200 subscribers in the first 60 days. And then for the last 16 months, I haven't had a single new subscriber in 16 months. Yet there's another guy who started the same time as me, got to 1,000 subscribers the same time as me. He has 15,000 subscribers now, and I haven't gained one. And she goes, okay. She didn't really get into details with everybody, but she told me to reach out to her one-on-one, email her, and basically she'll look into it for me. And I'm like, well, I wonder if she looks into it for me, does that mean she's going to look into my channel and I'm going to maybe my channel will get canceled in the next week or two because some human being from YouTube goes, oh my God, we can't let this guy talk. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I might be able to get my shadow ban lifted because I'm thinking, why are they inviting me to all this and giving me all this bonus money and this and that and the other thing when they're shadow banning me? And my viewers are telling me that they don't even get the reminders when they want to get the notifications and stuff like that. And all the things that apply to when you're shadow banned are applying to me. So I have a human being I can reach out to and see if I can get the ball rolling to get that fixed. We'll see. I don't know. I'm still going to say the wrong things and talk about the things they don't want me to talk about. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes, I guess. But I brought it up. I'm like, may as well. Like, why sit here for this Zoom meeting today? I got questions. It's Q&A time. Let's roll. So we'll see. I don't even know how to reach out to. I should have got her contact info. I don't know exactly how to reach out to her directly. I kind of do, but it's not really intuitive. But I'm supposed to come back to another meeting on Tuesday. And so I'll ask her directly then during the live chat and see if she can tell me how to reach out to her. And supposedly they can unban you. I've seen some other people say that they were shadow banned and they reached out to the right person and got unbanned. So I don't know. I know changing my content around and doing some different things and maybe not swearing as much would have an effect. Maybe. I don't know. But I am who I am. So, it is what it is. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, so there's things going on that might have a positive effect. I guess the only thing I care about is not getting kicked off the platform because, if I do, there's Rumble, there's BitChute, there's other places where you can all find me. But I probably need to get StreamYard or something going to where I can stream these live chats to multiple platforms at once instead of keeping it on YouTube alone. So we'll see. We'll see. I've got some ideas for different videos I want to do that are more palatable for the masses. And that might help unlock me. Like when I do the tour, I'm going to do a video of the house when I'm done organizing it and show you guys, I'll do a quick video of here's where I started, here's where I am now, and here's, a general recap of everything that went in between and just kind of talk about it all. And that might get some traction because it'll be an edited video, so I don't have to be my obnoxious self. It'll just be an update I'll put it out for the members only. I get some bonus for putting up a few members only videos, even if it's pre-release. So you guys, the members, the OG rollers in the club will get to watch it first with no commercials for like a week. I don't know, a week or two. I don't know how long I'll leave it like that. And then I'll open it up for the public, everybody else, for the riffraff, the rest of you all who won't cough up the funds. You'll get to watch it with commercials, but I'll get some garb and some stuff from YouTube for doing that. So may as well. But that's what I plan on doing anyway. So if you're a channel member, when I put out new videos, I'll release them to the members first, just so you can watch them without the commercials. And then I'll, like a week or so later, I'll let everybody watch. If I could, now 3 people during the meeting today said the same thing, including me, that we want, as creators, we want a way that if you sign up for a channel membership, you don't have to watch commercials on the videos. But for the rest of the people, they would watch the ads, because there's no way to do that right now. I either have to turn the ads on or turn them off for everybody who watches the video. I can also make them video members only or available to the public. But I can't say members of the public watch ads, channel members don't. The only way I can do that is put the video out for channel members first, so you get a week to watch the video with no ads, followed by a week later just flipping a switch, making it public, and turning the ads on to go with it. And then the rest of everybody, because I want my videos, my edited videos, to be available for everybody. The live stream, if you come to the members only live stream, the rule is whatever happens in the members only live stream will stay in the members only live stream. It's just like Las Vegas. Whatever happens there stays there. So whatever gets said there, me included, we can turn off the filter, if you will. We can do some fun stuff there. So, and I'll never turn those on to be visible by the general public. So you can, it's your safe, everybody needs a safe space, right? That's what all the liberals want to have, their safe space. We'll have our safe space, the members only chat. So you were talking about trolls. Now I have some trolls on this channel. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about during the members only stream last week. But we just never got around to it. No big deal. But I was watching, Prepper Nurse 1 is one of my regular channels that I watch his videos. He's just a cool dude. He's from the area I grew up. Like he lived 20 minutes away from where I grew up when he started on YouTube. So I recognized his accent. The first time I saw one of his videos, I was like, I know exactly where he's from because of how he talks. And so I was like, he's one of my people right there. And so I've watched his channel on and off. He's got over 100,000 followers, and he doesn't get hardly any play on his videos. He's been shadow banned because he says the wrong things, or he says things that YouTube doesn't like. And so they've put the kibosh on him. He had to go get a regular job. He was funding his life based on his YouTube revenue, and then that took a dump because he went and said, COVID's a scam and different things like that. And then, boo, down you go. So in his last video, or a recent video, I should say, the last one I watched, he was talking about the trolls on his channel. And now he owns a property, an off-grid property in Western New York. I want to say it's near Danville, somewhere in the southern tier-ish, Finger Lakes region. I mean, I don't know exactly where, but I know I can pinpoint the area. He was talking about how the trolls on his channel got to the point, both where he lives in West Virginia right now and at his property in New York. The trolls on his channel have doxed him, got all of his information, and then they go and they call the town where his properties are located, and they keep trying to get him in trouble. Like having the property inspectors go out to his properties and harass him. He said his property tax tripled in the span of 2 years because trolls on his YouTube channel kept sending the government goon squad out to his property trying to get his property taxes increased on him because they're just being a bunch of douchebags. So he's had the building inspectors and the property tax people coming out to his property to harass him and jack up his tax rates, all because a YouTube troll decided to fuck him. And I'm like, that's the problem right here. Like, that's the dice I'm rolling, with my shit. I could keep my mouth shut, become a prepper, keep my mouth shut. Nobody knows anything about me. Nobody knows where I live. Just shut my mouth, hide, and live my life the best I can. And I won't be subject to any of that crap. Yeah, he's near Beckley now. I don't know exactly where in West Virginia, but I know that area pretty well. I've hung out. The big bridge in Beckley, the New River Gorge Bridge, is a really crazy thing to go see if you've never seen that. And they have a festival every year where they close the bridge and people bungee jump off the thing. It's crazy. And they've got this other thing now where you can go on a platform under the bridge and walk across it. And it's like 2,000 feet above the gorge or some crazy thing. It's fucking nuts. It's a cool place. I got some really nice photos of it over the years. I've got one that's really popular on one of the stock photo sites. Pull it up. I keep forgetting I can do this very easily while I talk. But yeah, I mean, that's how bad the trolls are now. It's just going to take me a minute to log into this. Oh, now please tell me I don't got to get a code sent to my phone. Oh, for crying out loud. I could probably do it easier with Chrome. Hold on. There we go. Now, where's my portfolio? Just give me a minute. Here it is. It's one of my most popular stock photos. Now, why can't I open the fucking thing? Get out of here. Hold on a second. Will it come up in a Google search? Hold on, I can do this. I got a better way to do this. I think it's here. So I'll show you some of my photos. So if you go to shop.litgood.com, one way to support the channel is to go to shop.litgood.com, but I only have a small selection of photographs for sale here. It takes a lot of work to make one of these listings. And here it is right here, New River Gorge Bridge. So this is that bridge in West Virginia that we were just talking about. I took this one winter as I was driving through on my way home from somewhere else. But it's a really cool place. So one of the problems I'm having is I put up all these different print options for sale because I wanted people to be able to go and buy like a basic 8x10 or a basic size print, 10x8, 8x10 or whatever, $30, $35 on photographic paper, etc. But I wanted also to be able to offer nice metallic prints. So a 60-inch by 40-inch sheet of metal with things to hang on your wall. It comes ready to hang on your wall. Real high quality, high resolution print. I have to charge $2,000 for something like that because it costs me a lot to print those. 60 by 40, that's, however many feet by however many feet. So that's 5 feet by 4 feet. So it's a big mamba jamba, but they cost money. But I can also do print sizes that are close to that. But this is photographic paper. So these are nice high-end, prints that are not going to fade or whatever. But I feel like I got to change it up a little bit because a lot of these photographs I offer too many options, and I think that's kind of making it more difficult for people to figure out what to buy because this is the only way I can offer variations of a print size is with this drop down menu, and that's a limitation of Etsy. So I just got to figure out, I got to come up with maybe 2 or 3 options for print. I got to just rethink how I'm doing the store a little bit because it takes a long time to make one of these listings, hours. So, but you can check that out. But if you go to this photography website, which is just a fledgling website, no watermark, people are going to steal. In this day and age, it's like music. If you're a musician, someone's going to steal your music. You're just going to have to deal with it. I don't like the way watermarks make the photos look. When you share photos on social media and you put a watermark on them, people don't share them. People won't repost them. They don't get any traction. People on Instagram think you're a douchebag for putting a watermark on your pictures, etc. You put your watermark on. I mean, you can use AI to remove the watermark and make it look like it's not. You can get rid of the watermarks easy. And I don't put up super high res versions of my photos, but yeah, they can be stolen. There's also websites out there that I can find where my images have been stolen and check and sue people if I want to. But it's just like being a musician. It's a fact of life. So you want wallpaper JS. Here's something. Drop a plug. If you go to free.litgood.com, you can sign up for a mailing list. You just put your name in there. It doesn't even have to be your last name. Give me an email address. I will receive that, and then I'll sign you up for the wallpaper. You'll get a link sent automatically back to you. Let me see if I can figure out the URL. Basically, there will be a website that you get sent back to. Let me see if I can figure it out. Is it? No, hold on. Bear with me for a second. All right, so you'll get sent back a link to where you can download all these different images as wallpaper, automatically cropped to the different sizes. So phone screens, desktop screens, not all of my photos, but as many as look good at different sizes. And all you have to do is right click and say save image as. The full size image is there, full size for the screen. But it's super easy. It's just free.litgood.com. You can do it with your phone. You can do it with, you can go to my website, litgood.com, get some wallpaper right here. So litgood.com, it'll say download here. You click on that, you fill out the form. You'll get an email automatically sent back to you with wallpapers that you can download. I haven't worked on this for a long time, but what I was getting at is if you go to this website and you see all the different photos here and you're interested in a print, because I've tried to put a portfolio up that's representative of all the different kinds of photos that I shoot all in one place. I like racing, car racing, bike racing, stuff like that, sporting events, travel photography, cities, landscapes, things that you see when you travel, stuff like that. Just basically random stuff. And so I try to capture whatever it is wherever I am, whatever I see. You know, this is the kind of stuff I like to shoot. I got Toto. If you like Toto, that's my favorite photo of them. I saw them in concert a while back. I thought that photo came out really awesome. That was kind of an accident, but it worked out. Cities, nature. Here's an old school photo of Times Square. It doesn't even look like this anymore. You can't, Times Square isn't even a street anymore. You can't drive through it like that anymore. So that's kind of interesting. It's like a park now. But this was back in like the mid 2000s when I took that. Let's see. But just Pittsburgh, lots of Pittsburgh. Blue Ridge Parkway, stuff that you see along the Blue Ridge Parkway. That was on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Columbus, Ohio. That was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And I've got tens of thousands of photos but I don't have them listed. I just don't have time right now. This was a first round playoff game in the Stanley Cup playoffs when Pittsburgh went and won the Stanley Cup that year. So that ended up being a better photo than I thought that was pretty awesome that they had everybody wearing yellow that night. Turned out to be a great photograph. Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, that guy. So a bunch of people were acting a fool at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And this is the guard yelling at the kids in the crowd that were laughing and joking around. He was standing there at attention, but he was screaming and yelling at a bunch of obnoxious kids who were acting like a bunch of dicks. And so it just turned out to be a good photograph because I happened to be at the right place at the right time with my camera pointed at him. Iwo Jima, and then these are the vintage car races in Pittsburgh. So this is just representative of all the different types of photography. This is a bike race in Pittsburgh called the Thrift Drug Classic, all the way back in 1995, I believe. You see the U.S. Postal jersey there. This was Lance Armstrong wasn't in this race, but this was back before he ever won a Tour de France, and he had already cheated his way to the Core States Classic, so he could skip this race. But he had won this race the year before. It's called the Thrift Drug Classic. Thrift Drug's not even a store anymore. They went out of business. Car shows, Porsche 911, some, just car photos. Speedboat races in Pittsburgh, the F1 speedboats. Here's a beach moonrise in North Carolina. This is in Johnstown, PA, a nice overlook. Some fireworks in Pittsburgh, a little sunrise action on a lake. Cleveland, Ohio, Pittsburgh, more Pittsburgh. Seneca Rocks in West Virginia. This was the waterfall next to my house. This waterfall was right next to my house, like 30 feet from the home, maybe 50. I don't know. It was like right there. You could open the window you could hear the waterfall with the windows closed. It still grinds my gears that I was just about to leave Seneca Rocks that day. The sky never opened up and gave me the sunlight, and I was just about to get in my Jeep, and this group of mountain climbers decided to walk across the field on the way to their mountain climb, and I'm like, that's a pretty good photo. So I got to snap that. Ended up being one of the best photos I took that day. My son was with me for some of these shots. I've got lots of good photos of him and I on our travels. Here's a Philadelphia. This one was kind of funny. I was standing in the middle of this sidewalk here. I waited. I sat at this spot, just sat there for an hour and a half waiting for the sun to go down. And I was just about to get ready to go. Where the hell did it go? Hold on. Here we are. I was just about to get ready to go. And a bus, you can see the bus right there, because I was doing these long exposures. and a bus stopped, picked up some people, and then drove away. At the same time, an ambulance went driving by, and the streaks that you see on the right hand side were caused by the lights of the ambulance going down the road. And it ended up being this really awesome photo um, of downtown Philly. And that's my favorite photo of that trip. Some more Pittsburgh fireworks. That's another waterfall near where I lived in Pennsylvania. This was just a quick. We went and watched the fireworks at this park in Warren, PA. My son was with me when I took this photograph. We were on a 10-day camping trip, and the fireworks were too close to where we were, so I had to turn my camera portrait to be able to shoot the fireworks because we were just too close to where they were setting them off. And you can see the people in the shot there. And this one, and there was a couple of other photos of these fireworks that turned out absolutely perfect. But we were just in it was like a town park on a baseball field in Warren, PA. There's some of the Amish near where I used to live in PA. That guy was out plowing his field. But my favorite part of this photo is the look on that horse. Hold on. If you look at the horse, I'm blocked from being able to right click. But if you look at the horse, that one horse is making this goofy ass look, looking at me with this weird look on his face. And these three horses were in his way. And he had to keep yelling at them because you see the plow horses pulling. He was mowing a yard, or he was plowing a little field. And he had to keep yelling at these horses to get out of his way. And this one was making this look like it's a funny look on his face if you can see it up close. But I can't zoom in on it without having to do some stuff. This is pretty close to where I lived in PA. So that's from the same spot as that tree. More vintage car races in Pittsburgh. Some more car shows in Pittsburgh. Vintage car races. This was at some random park in Ohio. Same day. That's on Cave Run Lake in Kentucky in the Daniel Boone National Forest. That's from the Blue Ridge Parkway. That's one of my favorite sunset pictures. I got there 3 hours early to take this photo, and another photographer was trying to convince me that there's a better spot down the road to take photos. And I'm like, nah, dude, I'm good. Because this dude was trying to trick me into leaving because he didn't want the place all crowded with photographers at sunset because it's one of those combat photography spots. But I got there so early that I got to pick my spot and just plant. And I have Nikon, Sony. I have 12 different cameras and lenses out the wazoo. A lot of my stuff got trashed. When I came home from prison and all my photography gear was well taken care of, but then I stored it. Somebody stored it for me for 4 months, and they put it in a dank basement. And in the 4 months that it was in that bad place, all my lenses got full of mold. And some of it's not repairable. And I have yet to this day been able to take an assessment and see what I can fix, and it's a mess. So, and I really haven't been in a place where I can go take photos here in Houston and just do what I do. So I've just been putting it off. That was in West Virginia at an overlook. There were some rattlesnakes hanging out. I got some nice close-ups. This is at a place in New York State called Watkins Glen. And I think the funny thing about this photo is I did long exposures with called a neutral density filter. So you put this filter over your lens that allows you to take long exposures during the daytime. And that's why you see the crowd all blurry. And you see that this thing must have been 30 seconds to a minute long, because you can see the blurry people going up and down the stairways and the pathway through the waterfall. But then you got these people taking selfies, and they're perfectly still. So these people were sitting there taking selfies for at least 30 seconds to a minute, perfectly still, while the rest of the crowd's moving around them. And then you got this other weird guy hanging out behind the waterfall, and then the waterfall itself picked up some of the colors of the people in the crowd. The colors reflect onto the water here, because that's why the water looks the way it does, because of the colors that it was picking up around it, reflecting on it. And so it just, I don't know, I think that's a really cool photograph. It's a really cool place. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to go there. Well, you might have to pay to park in the parking lot, but you can just walk in. There's no like admission fee or anything. But it's a very guided tour kind of a pathway that goes through all these waterfalls cut into the rock. It's a really cool place. It's on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Some dude riding his bike just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Another one, I was on Tail of the Dragon down in North Carolina or Tennessee, and or is it in? I think it's in Tennessee. Yeah, and some motorcyclists went by, and I just happened to be in a good place to get a shot of them. It's a very popular motorcycle road. Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This is at the one of the entrance ways. There's this field where there's always elk hanging out, so I got some nice photos of them. That's Great Smoky Mountains National Park. That's a place in Ohio. That's a pretty cool place. This is an art installation that was in Pittsburgh a while back. So just that's in Florida. Like I've got photos. That's some alligator in Florida. I came up on a whole. When I took this photo of the alligator, I was surrounded by like 200 alligators on all sides. Like it was kind of scary. I was there by myself. I left my gun in the truck and I didn't realize it until I was out there taking these photos. And I'm like, well, as long as I don't fall in the water, I'll be okay. But if you fall in the water, it's going to look like that scene from Indiana Jones where he cut the bridge and the alligators were getting their meal for the day. A little moon photo. That's another thing in Florida. That's Chautauqua Lake in Jamestown, where I was homeless for a while, but that was long before I was homeless. That photo. That's Letchworth State Park in New York. That's just a random flower at the Pittsburgh Zoo. Just happened to be a nice photo, and I got this bee, this little tiny bee or whatever that is on the flower. So I got little plant close-ups all over the place, kind of. Columbus, Ohio, there's a statue of a deer on the side of this one bridge. I thought that was a pretty cool picture. This photo is kind of funny story. I was in Columbus, Ohio, and we were out this neighborhood called Short North. It's the bar district. It's where everybody goes out to go to the bars and stuff at night. And I had a little tiny tripod and a little tiny camera. And so I was looking for something interesting. It had just rained, and so there were some cool reflections. And I saw this manhole cover and the Short North sign, and I had a really wide angle lens. So I set up right there on the curb, and I'm sitting there on the curb. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and she wasn't really paying attention to me, but she was fine with me doing my thing and, stopping for a few minutes to take some photos here and there. And so I'm sitting there. I was just trying to get the Short North sign with the manhole cover and maybe some cars going back and forth. And this one car just showed up right in front of me and parked to let people out of the car to go to the bars and whatnot. And it made like the perfect photograph as you see it here. And it just the way the streaks of the light on the car and everything just kind of it just looks good. And right after I took this photograph, I get up from the curb and I walk maybe 4 steps away, and a drunk driver comes and smashes right into the fucking curb. Like, bam! And the girl who I was with, she wasn't looking my way. She freaked out. She's like, oh my God, Like she thought I just got hit by a car because like right here in the photograph is where the car hit the curb, and like some drunk asshole just slammed hard into the curb. Like parts of the car went flying off the car across the sidewalk and everything. And it's not even that big of a curb, but this girl completely freaked out because she thought she just heard me get run over by a car. And I had just taken 4 steps. I had just gotten up on my feet, grabbed my camera, took like 3 steps away from that spot, and bam, car hits that curb. So some of these photographs have stories that you would never know. This is like the traditional shot of Pittsburgh. This is the view that all the tourists come to see with the incline plane. We have these trolley cars that go up and down the hills, and this is like a very traditional. Every photographer has photos from this spot. Very common photo to take. Other shots of Pittsburgh. I actually sat on this bridge hoping that the cops wouldn't harass me one night. It was the first night when we set the clocks back so that there would still be traffic on the bridge and the sky would be dark, because the day before the sky was too light, and by the time the nighttime sky shows up, there's no more traffic on the bridge because rush hour is over. And in the middle of the bridge, there was some graffiti on it, and it says, "Stay Golden, Pittsburgh." Somebody spray painted it on there. And the very next day after, and I thought that was a cool detail of the picture, just something like an Easter egg when you're looking at it. The very next day after I took this photo, the graffiti busters came out and repainted the bridge, but they painted these big gray blotches all over the bridge, covering up all the graffiti, but they made the bridge look terrible, and I wouldn't have been able to get a good photograph of it if I had waited even just one more day to take the shot. So, like, there's stories behind a lot of these photos that you would never hear or know if I wasn't there to tell you, like, there's more going on here than just the photo. But this was the waterfall next to my house when I got arrested. This is where I lived in Pennsylvania. That was my yard. Literally, that was my yard. Fuck it, I miss that. You can't replace that. I'll never be able to find something that cool again. I mean, maybe, never say never, but that was like a once in a lifetime kind of thing to find that place and to live there for the 6 years I did. This was an overlook. This guy was drunk off his ass. And when he saw that I was taking photos of him, he got mad and I had to turn around and get out of there. But I did get a nice photograph. It's an overlook at a gorge. That was kind of funny. This is one of my favorite photographs of all time. This is a place called the Dolly Sods Wilderness in West Virginia. And you can actually see my Jeep over here where the cursor is, but you have to zoom in on the photograph. But it's a huge photograph. I could print this out 4 feet by 6 feet, and it would have so much detail you'd be able to see my Jeep in the background. So I showed up to this place at 3 a.m. after driving here from Pittsburgh, and the road leading up to the top of the mountain was all covered in snow. And there was a windstorm, it was overcast, and it was snowing a little bit. And I was in a Wrangler, but I had a tent cot. So I pulled this tent cot out and set it up in the parking lot and tried to sleep in it. But there were like 60-mile-an-hour winds whipping this thing. It was like 20 degrees outside. It was miserable. I think I got like an hour of sleep if I was lucky. I don't even know how. And so I was just going to wait until it got light outside, get back in my truck, and start driving to Florida, because I was on my way to Florida taking the back roads. And it took me about 5 days to get down there. But because I was stopping and doing things like this. And so it's about 1.5 miles to 2 miles to this spot. And I knew the exact spot. These little cuts in the rock these are all ice. It was so cold. These little puddles on this rock are all ice. And what happens is the water freezes, then it melts, then it freezes, then it melts, and it forms these little pools on these rocks. And so this is all ice that morning because it was like 20 degrees outside. And so I get up and I'm put the tent cot away and I'm just about to leave. And it's not, we're like an hour away from sunrise, but the sky's kind of light. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, this is good. This is bust. I'm out. I'm getting out of here. It was overcast. There was the whole sky was overcast. There was nothing going on. I'm like, I'm getting out of here. But then I'm like, you know what? You're here. Why don't you just hike to the spot, set up your camera, and see what happens? So I hiked to the spot. It's not a hard hike. And then it's 20 degrees though. And I sat there for an hour on this rock, freezing my ass off, waiting for sunrise, checking my camera, making sure everything's good to go. And I'm not kidding, like 30 seconds before sunrise, the clouds started to part. And when this was the most spectacular sunrise I've ever seen in my life. The colors, like it was like a light show. When the sun started to come up over the horizon, it just cast all these crazy purples and orange and yellow and red. And it was like all these different colors. It was crazy. I mean, it was just like what you see here, but imagine animated. And like being there in person, it was a totally surreal experience. And I'd say it's like 4,000 feet, maybe above sea level, somewhere in that range. I'd have to look it up. Look up Bear Rocks, West Virginia. That's this exact spot. 3,000 to 4,000 feet, maybe. I want to say 4. That'd be my guess. It's a pretty high spot in West Virginia. All of West Virginia is nothing but mountains, but they're not huge mountains. But I don't think there's a flat piece of land in the whole state. But that just ended up being like one of my best photographs I ever took. And it was all because I just decided I'm like, let's just go see what happens. Because I was not expecting anything to come of it. And it ended up being like the best photograph I took on the whole trip. All because I rolled the dice and decided to go sit there and wait and see what happens. This one here, this was in Florida, Kissimmee Prairie State Park. I went on a 6-mile hike and it was all flat. And I'm like, 6 miles, that's nothing. I was destroyed by this because the whole miles was hiking on sand. And so even though it was flat, you go on a 6-mile hike carrying some camera gear and whatnot. Your feet and ankles are going to be sore. And that hike did me in, even worse than a mountain hike in West Virginia would. That Dolly Sods place that I just showed you, this is like one of the most rugged places in the whole east side of the Mississippi that you could go hiking. This place is out of this world bad. Like this place is, I wouldn't take my son there because it's too dangerous and too hard to hike. He could probably do it now, but me and my friends would go to this place. We would all have a GPS and 3 maps and still get lost back in these woods. This place is nuts. This place did me in though with the sand. 6 miles of hiking on sand. There were single track trails. It wasn't all Jeep trails like this. But it was all sand. And at first, the first 2-3 miles, you're not feeling too bad. By mile 4 and 5, I'm like, whoa, this is getting crazy. It's like walking down a beach for 6 miles. The sand really like messes you up, makes it a lot harder. But I thought it was a nice sunset, so I got that. A nice photo of Pittsburgh at night. This is another one from the Blue Ridge Parkway. So this is the kind of stuff that I like to photograph. Just that variety is a good representation of what I do there. and what I plan on building this into a website where you can buy prints directly off the website. I just have to redo some work that was done that I lost when I got arrested. So I have to like rebuild a website. And I just haven't had time for it. But this all was a long journey to say, if you like a print or if you like any of the photos that you see on here, you can contact me directly on the form here. You just go to the contact button at the top and you can go here. This will send me an email to my email. If you like a photograph, I can sell any photograph that's on this website. I just haven't had time to put everything in the Etsy store yet. I got to come up with a better way to get Etsy to, I got to get a better way to be more efficient with listing my stuff on Etsy, and be able to do it faster. So it's just, I'm juggling way too many things right now, so I just don't have time to do everything I want to do. JS says maybe Getty Images. I sell on Adobe stock site and I sell them on Shutterstock. Getty rejected me a dozen times. A lot of these photos get rejected from the stock photo sites for different reasons. So they've gotten really picky, and those stock photo sites don't pay much. They pay you pennies every time your photo sales. The only way to make money on one of those sites is to have thousands of photos in your portfolio, so that when you're making pennies for each sale, they add up to hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars per month. But the amount of time, if I submit 20 photos to Shutterstock, they might reject 18 of them and take 2. And the amount of time that it takes to submit 20 photographs is hours. And then to have them accept 2 out of the 20 that you submit, it's like, it's not even worth my time. Because how long is it going to take to get 1,000 images in my portfolio if every time I submit 20 images, they reject 18 of them? And I'm telling you, they'll reject the images that I'm showing you in my portfolio for one reason or another. Some of them stupid. This photo would be rejected because of copyright logos. I would have to Photoshop out any logos and things like that. This photo of Columbus would be rejected because the deer is a art that has copyright. So that's like somebody's artwork that I'm photographing. And so that, plus there's a logo on that building. There's a logo on this building that would have to be Photoshopped out. I don't want to Photoshop out my images and make them fake. So the only way around that is to make it an editorial image so that you can use it in a news article or something like that, but you can't use it for advertising. And then they'll reject it for some other reason. Too much noise in the sky, which means I'll have to shrink the image size down, make it a lower resolution, but then reduce the noise and the sharpness. And which actually I'd rather have the highest resolution image and do all that myself as a buyer of a photograph. But these stock photo agencies, they use AI to judge your photographs now. And so the AI bot will say your image has too much noise. It's just, the film grain. And so you have to basically use all these filters to take out the film grain, but then that makes the image look like shit up close at the same time, but it gets you past the AI bot. And so it's just a lot of work for pennies. It's like you're literally pouring in 40 hours a week to make $1 a month, and it's not worth it. I'd have a better time making money off of YouTube ads. But I'm not opposed to putting in the time to do some of this stuff. It's just, I got to put my time in where it's best used. And unfortunately, sometimes that's the best place to use it. But any photo that's on that website, litgood.com, I can sell. If you're interested and you go to the contact info at the top, The point is, or if you're interested in photos of a certain city, place, whatever the case may be, there's a chance I've been there, have photos of it. Because I mean, I have tens of thousands of photos that I need to figure out what to do with that are just as good as the photos I showed you. But at the bare minimum, it takes 1 or 2 hours to prepare an image from the raw image from the camera to being a sellable photo. Color correction, sharpness, removing blemishes or dust and scratches, things like that. And so, on a high end, that photograph of Dolly Sods, that sunrise photo, was actually a panorama. So I had to take 4, 8, 12 photographs. Actually, 12 times 3 is 36. So I had to take 36 photos of that sunrise in West Virginia with the rocks, with the pools of ice, because my camera lens wasn't wide enough to shoot the whole thing. So I had to go 1, 2, 3, 4, move the camera down 1, 2, 3, 4, and do it again 1, 2, 3, 4. And then each shot was bracketed, which means I go 1 stop above, 1 stop below, and 1 stop what the meter says. And then I use special software to merge 36 photos into one. It stitches them together, but it doesn't do a great job. So then I had to go through and fix all the imperfections where the photos don't line up right and tweak the edges to make sure that you don't see, so that it basically turns it into one photograph. And each shooting above and below, it's called an HDR image, where you shoot, it's called bracketing back in the day. You take and you shoot a stop above what you're supposed to and a stop below. The above stop, when you shoot a stop above, you're getting all the shadow detail, but the sky and the bright stuff gets blown out. And when you shoot a stop below, you get all the detail of the sky, but then the shadows all turn black and you don't see any detail in the shadows. And then you shoot the properly exposed shot, and it's kind of like a little bit of highlights get blown out and a little bit of shadows get blacked up. But when you combine all 3 images, if you use a tripod to do it, you combine the 3 images into one, and Photoshop, or Lightroom specifically, will take all 3 of those photos and pull the highlight detail out of the underexposed shot, the shadow detail out of the overexposed shot, and it'll use the middle shot, and it'll create the best possible image from all 3, and it'll give you a dynamic range of light that your camera isn't capable of taking itself. And so you get a much better image, but it's a process. And then to stitch the panorama, 36 images, it was like I could put all my images together, hit a button, and I could go grab lunch and come back, and it wouldn't be done yet. It would take like half an hour to chug away at stitching those images together. And then it would give me a result, and it would say, okay, what do you think? And I would have to tweak things. And then you get it to a point, there's like 15 different ways to do it. So I had to figure out which way is the best way to do it, and then bring it into Photoshop and do all the touch-up work for all the imperfections and stuff. So that image of the Dolly Sod sunrise took about 70 hours of retouching to get it the way it was supposed to be. And so 360-degree shots, I don't have a specific panorama camera. They do make those, both film and digital. There's lots of stuff out there. I typically use a ball grip tripod and just kind of wing it, but I do have like a good eye for knowing how far to stage each shot. Overlap, you have to get enough overlap from one to the other. And if you use a camera where there's different data that gets saved with your images called EXIF data, And if that data includes the camera, the focal length of the lens that you're using, and all the different data, Photoshop can use that data to do the math, to stitch the photos together, to get rid of the lens distortion and all that stuff. And it does a better job of seamlessly putting the photos together. If I were a little more professional about it, you can get tripods that are marked with a bubble level, and then you'll have degrees, a ring, a 360-degree ring of, basically it's a compass. And you can turn your camera a set number of degrees so that each shot in your panorama is exactly 20 degrees. Turn the camera 20 degrees, turn the camera 20 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, whatever you want to turn it. You can make it so that each shot is exactly level and exactly spaced apart to the number of degrees on the compass, so that when your stitching software puts it together, it does a better job and it makes fewer mistakes. But most of the time when I do shots like that, I'm just holding it with my hands and standing there. And if I need to go with, like, if I got to go slower than 60th of a second, then I'm using a tripod. So like this Dolly Sods morning photograph, I wanted to shoot it at least f8, which is a lower the smaller aperture gives you a sharper. When you make your aperture too big or too small, your image will actually lose sharpness. So there's like this sweet spot in the middle, like f8, f16, that your image will have the maximum sharpness. But in order to shoot at that aperture, you have to leave your shutter open for maybe a second, a 30th of a second. And you can't hold a camera still with your hands, no matter how much you crouch in. You can't hold the camera still enough to take that photograph, so you have to put it on a tripod. And so for that morning shot, to get 36 of those images with the 3 rows, and I did it like 3 or 4 times in a span of like no time at all. But I was just focused, and I'm like, ching, 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 ching. I had it, like, I practiced before the sun came up of what I was going to do. And then it was just game on. And there's different functions on my camera where I can push the shutter button once, have like a 3-second timer so that I have time to take my hands off of it and it's not going to be all shaky. And then the camera takes 1, 2, 3 shots, and then I go back, twist the camera, push the button, step back, 1, 2, 3, bop, bop, bop. Okay, move it again, do it again. And so you just have to learn what your camera is capable of. And I don't have a remote cable for that camera that I was using. So I had to use the 3-second self timer but I had a very limited amount of time. So I'm like, make sure you get the sun first, get the shots of the sun, because the sun's going to keep going up and it happens really fast. And then I can worry about the rocks last. So I started with the sun, made sure to get all the shots of the sun, because the sun's the moving part, and the sky. And so then I worked my way down to the middle and then down to the bottom to get the rocks aren't going to move. So the rocks, I had plenty of time to get that. And in fact, the sun popping up just a little bit lit up the rocks a little bit better when I got down to the bottom level of the 3 rows. But I could teach this stuff. This is like one of the things I could do on this channel is actually, like, I don't really have video of me. Imagine trying to do all of that when it's 20 degrees outside and you just hiked after sleeping in a tent cot with a 60-mile-an-hour wind beating the tent cot all night. Like, it felt like the cot was going to flip over after driving up a snow-covered mountain. I didn't even know how I was going to get down off the mountain. I had to put the Jeep in 4 low and use engine braking to go all the way down the mountain because I didn't dare hit the brake pedal and get into a skid. I would have died. So I just had to let the Jeep crawl down the mountain. It took me forever to get down. Then sitting in front of this, waiting for an hour for the sun to come up when it's 20 degrees. I mean, I was dressed pretty warm, but I need my hands. I couldn't wear gloves when I was doing the photographs. basically got hypothermia sitting there. So imagine like trying to videotape everything you're doing for YouTube at the same time you're doing all that. It just, who's got time for that? If anything, I could have had my son with me walking around with a GoPro camera filming me do stuff. But it's just too much. So I go on these trips and I focus on taking the photos, and I never really got into like documenting taking the photos, because I know photographers that do it. Thomas Heaton is a big one on YouTube. He does this kind of stuff and he films the whole thing. He does beautiful photographs, but he also films the process of getting the photos. And I'm like, you just got too much time, dude. I don't know. He might have people going with him that help, but I've seen a lot of his videos and they seem self-made. He sets up a video camera on a tripod, then he's filming himself shooting, and he narrates it and he documents a little bit of I just don't have all that time. That's all he does. I mean, that guy's gotten so big and he sells so many photos and he's got such a big YouTube audience, that's his full-time job. So he can do that. I think that's what it boils down to. If I could do more of this stuff, down the road. So now that I've got my workbench back there, part of what I want to use that workbench for is to take apart my camera gear and see what's good and what's bad. It can all be replaced. I always buy used gear, and I know a lot of it's salvageable, but it's kind of like I'm kind of scared to go through it because that was such a big part of my life, and to have all of my gear just get completely destroyed at once was like a massive mind fuck for me. It's still traumatic to think about when I opened up my camera bags and what I saw inside the bags in just 4 months of them sitting in this fucking basement. Ansel Adams photos are something else. So that's a whole nother topic, but I'll touch on it. Let's share my screen for a minute, because I'm going to show you something. So there's a photographer who's very popular, nature photographer, basically. You've probably heard of him. You may have seen him. He's got a giant gallery in Las Vegas. $5,300 for a photo of Las Vegas. Prints. But his galleries are $100, but this is 100 centimeters. So this guy sells backlit prints. They're called Britrans. And the camera that he uses, his camera is about $200,000. He sells these gigantic wall-sized prints at his galleries, and he sells a limited quantity of them. And the closer he gets to selling the quantity, like 200 prints, the more expensive they get, but they're all limited edition prints. But the problem is, it's a digital print from a digital camera, and it's a digital file. So there is no limited edition. All he has to do is hit print, and another one pops out of the machine. And so he's basically treating it like it's some piece of exquisite fine art that can never be duplicated again, and yet it's a digital file. So this guy sold a print he sold this print here for $2 million, $6.5 million for this print in a slot canyon. And contractually, he's probably bound to never make another print of it. But all of his photos are digital prints. It's a digital file taken with a digital camera, printed on a digital machine. So you can make 1 million copies of it, and every copy will be just as good as the last copy. In fact, as technology gets better, you could make better copies in the future than you can make now. But he gets, rich people spend money on stupid shit. Okay, so that's that. Now we're going to talk about Ansel Adams. The difference, why I think an Ansel Adams print is actually worth something, is now an actual print that Ansel Adams actually made is worth something, because when Ansel Adams photographs something, this dude's dragging out a gigantic 4x5 camera out to the wilderness, this big giant box like the shit that they used to photograph Abraham Lincoln with. Then he has to get in a dark room that he also had to drag out there, and he has to mix a bunch of chemicals together on a piece of glass. Then he has to put that piece of glass that he made in this camera, pull the lens cap off of the camera and push a button, and then time how long he's going to take the photo. Then he's got to stop it. Then he's got to pull this piece of glass out of the camera, go back to his little makeshift dark room in the wilderness, and develop this thing, and makes an actual plate by hand. Then, in order to make prints to sell multiple copies of it, he's got to take that crap that he made to a dark room, hook it up to a machine, and make prints on photographic paper of no two which will ever be the same. And the more times he does this, the more that original plate is going to degrade over time. So eventually, you're not going to be able to make more copies of that, because it's going to be degraded over time. So as future copies are made, they get worse and worse and worse. And so there's an actual value there. If you have a print that Ansel Adams made himself, he did that with his own hands, and you can't reproduce that. You can't just hit print from a digital file and make another copy of that. Yes, they've taken Ansel Adams' negatives and his plates, and they've digitized them at very high resolution, and they've made good permanent copies of his work. But if you have a print that he made with his own hands, that he did himself out in the wilderness with his camera, making the chemicals and doing all the crap that you had to do back then, that's an actual piece of art, in my opinion, because you can't just reproduce that. If you have the actual glass plate that he made from Yosemite, like, that's a one-of-a-kind thing that can never be reproduced. That is a one and done. Peter Lik, he takes a digital photograph on a $200,000 digital camera, and it's a file. And you can copy that file 1,000,000 times, and all the copies are going to be exactly the same and just as good as the others. And you can print that as many times as you want, and it'll never lose quality. So that's not the same. So that's why it's kind of like, that's a gimmick when that guy is selling prints for $6 million and it's a digital photo. Whereas something that a photographer made by hand like this, and if you want to see how it's done, there's YouTube photographers out there that go around with 4x5 cameras shooting in the same style that Ansel Adams did, and you can watch them do it. It's freaking crazy what they had to do, or what the photographers had to do back then. Plus, these areas that Ansel Adams went, it wasn't like you could just drive to the parking lot and park and walk down a wooden plankway to get to where the nice view is. He had to probably take a bunch of donkeys with his camera gear on the sides of and ride a bunch of donkeys through the woods, and then drag his shit through the wilderness and find a spot where you could see through the trees, or maybe he had to climb a tree. Who knows? This was all wilderness back then. This wasn't like pavement and pathways with signs everywhere saying don't step off the sidewalk or there's a fine. This was wilderness back then. Yosemite, it was just woods and wilderness and mountains. It wasn't like a tourist trap back then. So that none of it, like this is the camera that this dude had to use. You can see it in that. Well, come on. Come on, they just had a picture of it. Yeah. Here he is dragging his crap over the mountain. Dreads his freaking 1,000 pounds. Here's Ansel Adams carrying all his camera gear and a bunch of horses, having to go through that crap to get to the spot. Now you just drive to the parking lot. You know what I mean? It's not the same. It's not the same. Where are we at? Here's one of his things there, but where's that photo? Let me go back a page. Here's Ansel Adams' camera. He's carrying this giant freaking camera around. Imagine having to carry that thing 20 miles back into the woods on a donkey and having to hike over rocks, and there's no trail and no parking lot or anything like that. You're just out there, and you also have to bring everything that you need to develop those plates and do all that at the same time. Not just the camera, but there's probably 1,000 pounds worth of other stuff that went with it. Lugging that all around. Like, that's art. Like, that's way more art than Peter Lik and his $200,000 digital camera. So that, to me, has more value. So you look at something like, I'm sure you've seen MC Escher, pretty famous guy. You know, these are some pretty famous images. You know, we'll just go here, open image in new tab. You know, you've seen a lot of these prints. This guy did some pretty crazy stuff in his day. So all of these MC Escher prints that you've seen, they're famous. You know, the goofy staircases. You've seen them all. You can buy these posters everywhere. So when this guy drew all of these, he had to draw these. These aren't drawings on a piece of paper. These are drawings with a wax pencil, a clear wax pencil in reverse on a piece of stone, like a piece of granite, a smooth piece of stone. So everything that's light, everything that's white that you see in the image, that's where he had to draw with the wax pencil. Everything that's dark is bare stone. So he had to draw a negative of the image on a piece of stone. And the only way to see what he was doing is to shine a light sideways on the stone and kind of look at it sideways to see the reflection of the light on the stone. And wherever the wax is going to be dull, and wherever the stone is showing through will be shiny. And so he had to draw this stuff on a piece of rock with a crayon, basically, and it had to be a negative. Not so, like I said, once again, everything that's light in the image is dark or is wax on the stone. And now he's got to make the prints. So I mean, look at the hand. Look at all the veins and all the detail in the hand. And this is a crappy JPEG of this image. But you can see that there's crazy amounts of detail in here in all of his stuff. And so how he makes prints from the stone is you take ink with a roller and you roll the ink onto the stone. And any place that there's wax on the stone, the ink won't stick to it, and the ink only sticks to the stone. And then you put down a sheet of paper and you press it, and that's called a lithograph. And that's print number 1. And so you can see at the bottom corner of his print here, he has 1-35 MCE. So that's one of 35 prints that he made, because after about 35 prints, he can't make any more because the wax on the stone gets all smushed out. the ink starts sticking to it. It's ruined. So you can only make so many prints, and the number matters. So like the earlier the number of the print, the better the quality of the print will be. And a lot of those are numbered by hand with pencil, written on the back or written in the corner out in the white space or something like that. But when you do those lithographic prints, you basically only get, it's like you get a limited number, and then the stone is done. You can't make any more prints. They're going to just be all mush, and they're going to lose all their detail. They're going to look like crap. There's going to be ink blotches where you don't want them, et cetera, et cetera. So you're only going to get a certain number of prints. And so if you have, it's the same thing with this thing. Everything that's white in the image is what he had to actually draw. Everything that's dark in the image is the part of the stone that he left off. So he had to draw everything in reverse of what you see. And then you, like I said, you only get so many you only get to run so many sheets of paper through that, and it's over. It's done. And so if you're holding on to one of those prints that this dude made with his own hands, one of 50 from that stone that he drew this crap on with a wax pencil, probably took him 3 months to draw one of these, and then all the meticulous crap that you got to do to make sure the prints come out right, and to make sure that there's no mistakes or ink blotches or any, you got to do it you got to be precise, and craftsmanship and everything else with that in order for it to work right. It takes a lot of skill, and each one is a unique print. No two prints out of the series will be exactly the same, because the ink might not sit the same from one to the other, and the quality will degrade. The more prints that you make from that single stone, they're going to degrade over time to the point where they're degraded so much that the artist is like, all right, we're done. We're not making any more, because they're just starting to come out like crap. So you have this many prints. And so if you own one of those prints, that is like something like tangible that actually means something, that actually has value. This guy made this thing with his own hands. He did this. But now, you can buy a poster of all these things because someone took a nice photograph or scanned one of these. Somebody basically took one of these prints, made a high resolution scan of it, took good photos of it, made reproductions of the originals, and the reproductions can be pretty damn good, but they're not the same as the actual print that this guy made with his own bare hands. And so that's when I look at like an artist like Peter Lik selling a digital photo for $6 million, and it's a freaking digital file. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad photo, or he's charging $10,000 for a print. They're good prints. They're nice quality art, but it's a digital file. It's not like it doesn't have any intrinsic value. He didn't do anything by hand. He took a photo with a $200,000 camera and hit a print button. I mean, he did some editing and cleanup work, and there's stuff. It's not just that simple, but it's all digital. Once you have that final file, you can print 10 million prints, and they'll all be the same quality. They'll all be good. And like I said, over time, you can get better equipment. Printers get better over the years. You could take a print that you printed 10 years ago, that if it's a digital file, print it 10 years later and get a better print than the original, because the printers got better. But MC Escher can't redraw the stone with the wax pencil and all of that and make another print of that. Like, he can't do it again. It's a one and done. It's over. So the closest that they can do to getting a good reproduction of this is to find an original print and scan it digitally, or take high resolution photographs of it. There's 20 different ways from Sunday that they've done it over the years to make copies of art but it's not the same as holding an original in your hand. And so that's why I'm like, when somebody like Peter Lick comes along and says, I'm going to do a limited edition this or that, limited edition of what? Peter Lick's not out there taking this photograph with an Ansel Adams camera that he had to do all this stuff by hand. Like, let's see what a Leinhof 617 Temporama film camera. Let's see how much that costs. $3,080. No, I've seen this dude's got some cameras that cost over 200 grand. So, let's see what he's got. I know that, plus the resolution of the cameras that he uses, the digital cameras are, well, there's one that has that resolution, but these cameras that he uses are like, hundreds of megapixels in resolution with big giant film sensors or camera back digital sensors on the back. And the image is so sharp that if he prints a 4-foot by 8-foot print that goes on your wall like that, you can walk up to it and see the tiniest level of detail because the image is such high resolution. You can almost walk up to a plant image that he shot and see the cells of the plant when you're up close. It's almost like looking at it through a microscope. So, I mean, but the equipment is amazing what these cameras can, these high resolution cameras can pick up. And you still have to know how to be a photographer. It's not like, you just walk out there and take a good photo because you got a nice camera. You can have the nicest camera in the world and still suck as a photographer. But equipment does matter. Like in this photograph right here, I guarantee you, whatever size it is, this one of this tree here, guarantee you that if you walked up to this thing up close, you'd be able to see the veins in each little leaf on this tree because this thing's the size of a wall. But it doesn't get blurry. Like if you go into a department store and you walk up close to a photo that's the size of a billboard, it's going to be all blurry and crummy and it's not going to look sharp. If you walk up to one of his photos that are on the wall that are like 8 feet tall and you look at the grass here, you're going to be able to see all the individual blades of grass. You're going to be able to see a ladybug on a blade of grass. You're going to be able to see the veins in the leaf, and you're like, if there's a fly or some sort of insect, you're going to be able to see the legs and the wings and the details of the insect up close because the camera he shot this with is such high resolution that it's capturing that level of detail. And then you can print out a 8-foot tall, 8-foot wide print, and it's going to be super, super, super sharp, even up close. But, that's what a $200,000 camera will do. So, I mean, there is coolness to the video, to the photo. He's got a lot of really beautiful photos, and he does a lot of cool stuff. But his concept, the way that he sells his work as limited edition prints, it kind of like, to me, it's weak because it's not limited edition. Some hacker could get into his hard drive and take all of his digital files, and guess what? They're not limited edition anymore. You know what I mean? But you can't hack into an Ansel Adams library, and you'd have to steal the actual glass plates. And if you drop one, it's over. It's done. It's gone forever. You have the reproductions or the scans, but you don't have the original anymore. And so it's just different. And so I'm not discrediting Peter Lick or his art, but I'm just saying it's not the same. It's not the same as like an old school photographer that actually had to do all that stuff by hand and shoot like that. It's a totally different thing. So I don't know if that was like cool little lesson or a little bit of knowledge or whatever of how the world of art works. But anyway, thank you, JS, for the super chat. It's always awesome to see. And so I think I'll do the live chat on Sunday at the same time. I think it was 2 o'clock, I believe. I'll do that on the same time on Sunday for the members only. And Angels, I will get you. You can reach out to me. I might have some time tomorrow. I can get you set up on Discord. All you need to do is make a Discord account, and I'll send you the link to the Discord server. And then you can join the server, and all I have to do is enable you to be able to see what's in it. There's another way to join that should be through the YouTube channel, but I don't know. I'm learning I'm learning Discord as I go. Blue Sky showed me some things. She helped out a little bit last weekend, point me in the right direction, but it's supposed to recognize if you came from the YouTube channel to join and then just automatically let you see what's in the server. But I think if you come in the other way, where I send you an invite link and you come in that way, it's not tied to your YouTube account. It's separate from that. So I don't know the ins and outs of how to make it work. But it's not hard to join. I'm trying to figure out how like a YouTube channel member should go and get into the Discord server, because then I wouldn't have to do anything, because you would automatically be able to see what's in there. So, but that's just, it's probably just me looking up some information, maybe watching a video and, just doing the right search for the information that I'm looking for. But it's all about user management, and if it should be automatically managing what you can see them do based on your YouTube membership. But I think when I send people the invite link, it's bypassing the YouTube. So it doesn't know whether you're a YouTube member or not. And so it's not putting you in the bucket of YouTube members. So anyway, there's not much in there. I haven't even looked at it since Sunday, but the only goal that we had last weekend was to get it to work. If you have any ideas for like categories of things to put in there, chats, like we've got a tinfoil hat category, we've got a current events news category. I put a category in for sharing recipes. So I've got like my own cookbook. I can start sharing recipes there and just have a central place to keep them. And then there was there's just like a general, hey, what's up, everybody? But like, you can add as many rooms as we want. And there's different permissions I can turn on and off. I can make people have, trustworthy. The OGs could eventually have more permission to create new rooms and to moderate and do different things. But like regular members might not have that. I didn't turn any of that on yet, but it's very customizable and configurable. It's just, for me, it's just figuring some stuff out because I've never really dug into it before. So with that, I'm going to get out of here and go try to get some more of this housework done. And hopefully in the next week or two, I can get it clean enough. At least I've got 3 piles of clutter that are bad that I'm trying to figure out how to put back together and reorganize. And even if I can hide it to where it's out of sight, out of mind, when I get to that point, I will take you on a tour and show you how everything's evolved since I've moved in. And that'll be like phase 2. Phase 3, I've got a plan for what I want to do. I had this whole list of things that I wanted to do within a couple of days of moving in here. I had a vision for how to set this place up, and I'm missing 2 pieces of furniture to complete everything, other than like small things like little shelves. I would like to have like a bathroom mirror, but I don't know where to put it yet because everything's crowded here and nothing really makes sense. My sink is in front of a window, so I can't have a mirror in front of me when I'm at the sink. Good and bad. But I actually just got an idea of how I could put a mirror there. Light bulbs go off. So it's evolving, and so phase 2 should be complete soon. And once it's done, I'll take you on a tour, show you, and I think I'll be able to show you a lot of ideas for how to take a small space and really make it comfortable and make it feel like you have everything you need. The fact that the fact that this place is wide open, and it's a single wide trailer size place. But if you took a single wide trailer and took all the walls out of it and just opened it up and made it into 3 rooms and a small bathroom and 2 other rooms that are just wide open, no closets, no nothing, you can kind of like, the freedom that it gives you to kind of map out your own space is kind of cool. And it's kind of like practice. Like if I were to buy a piece of off-grid land somewhere or on the grid land out in the middle of nowhere, Texas, and get a single wide trailer dropped onto the property that's just a shell, like a big giant cabin, I'm already practicing for how to lay something like that out and actually make it livable and like a nice like home. So yeah, I'm gonna get the mirror at the thrift store or Facebook Marketplace. I've bookmarked like 20 of them, but I've got a different idea because I need like a mirror for shaving at the sink and stuff like that. And I think I'm gonna get one of those accordion mirrors that are just the round mirror with the accordion that you would normally have in like a shower or something, and mount it to the wall next to the window. That way I can move it over out of the way. But when I want to use it, I can just pull it out and put it in front of me and still have my sink below me. But I also need a full length mirror. So when I I don't dress up, but if I ever do, now that I have a car, I can wear nice clothes. And I've already got like 20 different mirrors bookmarked on Facebook Marketplace that are like anywhere from 20 to 50 bucks. I've got love seats bookmarked for anywhere from 50 to 100 bucks. Ottomans, 25 to 100 bucks. I need to get a love seat and an ottoman. That's the 2 pieces of furniture and a full length mirror. And then I'm done. Like there's nothing else on my list. But I'm waiting until I get the house put back together and organized, because the spot where the love seat and the ottoman will go will be completely open and ready for it when I'm done with this. So I can, when I do that, maybe a month from now, I can just go get the ottoman, the couch, bring it in, drop it, and it's done. Like there's nothing, like I don't have to move anything out of the way. It's already just going to be done. But I've still got about a week of busting my ass to get this house done to where everything is tidy again. And at least on the surface, it looks organized and all of the clutter is, hidden, and I can just pick away at it bit by bit. But at least it'll look organized. And it will be organized to a large extent. I mean, it keeps evolving better and better as time goes on, but it's kind of a process of pulling things apart, laying them all over the place, letting it be a mess for a few days, packing it up and organizing it, getting rid of stuff that needs to go, and just, kind of making, keep what you want to keep, take a box that was just all a bunch of random shit thrown in a box just to move, and unpack it, give it all a home, get rid of it, do what you got to do. And, it's a process. That's all it is. And right now, the part of the process I'm in is where the place blew up on me over the last couple of weeks after I got the car. And like, I've got a table sitting next to me, a folding table that's going to go in a bag and be put away. But right now it's got piles of stuff on it that needs sorted out for the tool workbench here. Mostly it's that process. I'm taking all my tools out of tool bags and putting them in the workbench and organizing it all. And now I have a bunch of empty tool bags that give me options for storing things and putting things away I didn't have any room for. And so it's all just, it's coming along, but it's when you get into the nitty gritty, it takes longer than you want. Is it still hot down there? Yeah, it's been like 90 degrees still. Last year, my only winter here, right around Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving weekend, I started waking up, going to the bakery at 6 in the morning, and it was like 45 degrees, and it was starting to get chilly. And December, January, and February were the cold months. I say once March hit, it was pretty good to go. There were some 20-degree mornings riding my bike to the bakery, 20 miles. That was miserable. There was one time I had to ride to my friend's house from the bakery in the freezing rain, and I wasn't prepared properly. And even though it was a 5-mile bike ride, I almost got hypothermia. It was bad. I was completely soaked head to toe, and it was like 32 degrees outside. It was bad. But I don't have to worry about that stuff so much now. And I am getting better equipped for riding in the bitter cold. But I like the weather. I like it when it's 90 outside. Everybody said I was going to hate living here in the summer. I'm upset that I know the 90-degree days are coming to an end, but I love it when it's hot. I'm done with the north. I mean, I would move back to Pittsburgh to be with my kids, but if we're just talking about the weather, I'm done with that. I'm done with the north. I don't want it. I don't want the fall. I don't want the spring. Summers are too short. When I was in Jamestown, New York on August 1st, it was 40 degrees. And like the summer was July. And then August 1st, it's 40 degrees and I'm wearing a hoodie. And I'm like, I was so miserable that day. And when I drove to Houston, I was like, oh, I was so happy that it was like 97 degrees every day. I was like, this is so great. Oh, it's like summer came back. And summer lasted all the way until Thanksgiving. So I'm good. It can stay 90 degrees every day and I'll never get sick of it. People say, I mean, it's just because I'm from a different place. People who live here, they hate it. People here hate the hot weather. Me, I don't mind one bit. I'm fine with it. I'm used to it now too. So it doesn't even have that same, it doesn't hit me. Like back in the day when I would go down to Florida in the spring and it would be like, 30 degrees in Pittsburgh. I get off the plane in Florida and it's 97 degrees with, 98% humidity, and it hits you as soon as you step into the jetway off the plane. It's like, boom, it's like you walked into a bowl of soup, and it's awful. But Houston's not that bad. And it's also, I'm used to it now. Like, it doesn't even bother me on the hottest days. I'm not spending all my time outside, but when I'm outside, I don't mind it. I love wearing shorts. I like not having to wear a coat. I don't know. I mean, there's nothing that I will dislike about hot weather anymore. I'm old. Old people move to Florida. Old people don't go to New York to retire. Old people get the hell out of New York and move to Florida. The reason why is because they can't take the cold anymore. So a lot of people flee New York and go to Florida, but you don't hear about it the other way. With that, I'm going to let you all go. Thank you for stopping by. It was fun as usual. And members only stream on Sunday. And we'll talk again. Peace out.